Hey everybody, welcome back to Star Trek Club. Sorry for the late start time. I'm Captain Logan. Look, it's Brandon Grimm.
Hey everybody.
And Adam Meredith. And this evening, as always, we're going to watch a little Star Trek with you. We may actually only get to one episode tonight, given that we're starting so late. We'll see how fast we can rattle through some Voyager episodes. We're going to also give you our, as I just alluded to, our first 5 of our top 10 favorite Voyager episodes. We've been blowing through our top 10s. We started TOS several weeks ago, and we've been ever since TOS, and that being kind of a wordy, lengthy show, we decided to do 5 each week, and so we finished DS9 last week, which was really fun, and we actually got to watch a little DS9 on a DS9 show, which was very exciting. And now we're gonna see if more Voyager pops up, which is likely because there is a lot of Voyager on the wheel, thanks to Tom. Yeah, it's all Tom's fault. So we probably will get some Voyager. And we'll see if it's more Season 5. It's like we've been only watching Season 5 lately. I'm having issues with the stupid digital wheel. This was an issue last week. I thought I had kind of solved it. I'm still monkeying with it. I've written down a lot of the episodes, but last week I forgot to write down the new ones. So if you have put anything on the wheel, especially in the last couple weeks, but really at all, just in case something's falling through the cracks, and I may have missed it, especially if you look at the wheel when I put it up in a minute and you don't see it there, please let me know what it is so I can get it back on there, and I'll make a master list so that if it glitches up on me again, I can pull back from the wheel or from the list and put stuff on the wheel. The way, if you've not been here before or you've somehow forgotten because you've slept since then, the way you can get an episode request on the wheel is by leaving a super chat in any dollar amount, and that entitles you to one episode selection, and we let everybody that comes to Star Trek Club do that just once a week. You can also leave a question or a topic or anything you'd like us to talk about along with that if you want to. It doesn't have to just be that episode title, but if you want to, you can just say, I want this episode, and we'll do that. A lot of TNG, a lot of Voyager on the wheel right now. Would be really cool to see a little more DS9, a little bit more Enterprise, and dare I say, a little bit more off the beaten path or even mediocre stuff. Because we've been watching a lot of really great and then memorably terrible lately, but not a lot in between.
In between.
And we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna kind of run out of the stuff
more
people
just
know.
Serviceable Trek, you know.
Yeah, we really do, which I'm sure will make for the most exciting show. But we want to try to get through as many commentaries on episodes as we can, as long as we're making this show and doing 2 most weeks. So Cinematographic, I believe Encounter at Farpoint is indeed still on the wheel. It was one of the first things requested. So those ones at the top have not left. I'll go ahead and show you guys the wheel right now, and then we're going to go ahead and spin it here in a minute to see what we're going to watch, and then we will do a real quick standard replicator. I guess we could skip that, but I have a fun one I kind of want to do. So anyway... Okay, so there's the wheel. Everybody take a look at that, and if there's one on it, if there's an episode that you asked for that's not there, please let me know. We're going to go ahead and spin it right now, though, of what's here and see what we end up watching this evening. Luckily, we no longer have to deal with These Are the Voyages because we finally knocked that out, so that's exciting. Adam, had you put Carpenter Street on here? I thought it was here, but I can't remember.
I didn't put Carpenter Street on there. I did not do it.
You did not do it, okay.
Threat.
Oh, your threat was if we have no super chats, there will be Carpenter Street. I think that's what you said. Yeah, which is hilarious. We'll see if that happens. So remember, everybody, tonight we're gonna get stuck putting one of the worst Enterprise episodes on the wheel, at least in my opinion. If you don't ask for something. Okay, here we go.
Tell Jason to be prepared.
Here we go, everybody. Spinning the wheel to find out what our first and potentially only episode is tonight. We'll see what the clock looks like.
Oh, I didn't know it has sound.
And it's Peak Performance. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Season 2, TNG.
Radajama.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that'll be fun with Kohlrami. Yeah, it took me a minute.
Kohlrami in the USS Hathaway.
Oh, I didn't remember the name of the ship. Yeah. Wow.
Yes, it makes me think of Miss Hathaway from Beverly Hills.
Is that how you remember it? Is that how you got there? Yeah. Is the Zakdorn or one of the only species that starts with a Z? Not a whole lot of Z species.
Not a lot of Z's.
One of these weeks we will play that that alphabet game that we used to do in Star Trek Club. I've always wanted to bring that back, where you have to name something that has to do with Star Trek in order in the alphabet. And we've even narrowed it down where we've done it like only with species and stuff, which is wicked hardcore. But we probably won't do that unless we get real far into Star Trek Club and we feel so immersed and ready to go that we're ready to do a thing like that. Well, let's all get in the headspace for a little Star Trek and do some real quick standard replicators. So these guys are going to ask me a question. I've got one. We'll go ahead and do it. I'll let you guys do one next week. We're starting late. I think this will go pretty quickly. If it doesn't, then I'll blame Brandon. Okay, here we go. So
Of course.
I'm just kidding. I am thinking of something that has to do with Star Trek, and we are going to begin with Adam, and then you guys in the comments will get a turn if you want one. Just throw out a question based on the yes or no questions that these guys have asked and trying to figure out what is in my Captain A Little Brain right now. Go ahead, Adam.
Okay. Well, is it alive?
It is debatable. It's arguably not alive. I think most people you talk to would say this is a thing that technically does not count as a life form. Go ahead, Brandon.
Is it bigger than a starship?
No, it is not. Adam, we'll let you go ahead and ask something, and then we'll see if the audience wants to throw out a question.
Is this thing microscopic?
It is not microscopic. So, audience, you guys get a turn collectively as a group. Go ahead, Brandon. Yes or no question, Cinematographic.
Is this from? Does it have its origin in the Federation?
I would have to say, in the strictest sense, yes. Cinematographic says, is it sentient or mathematical? I'll answer the first one because those are two different questions. It is, again, in the same way I answered the life form question, I would say in the strictest sense, I don't think most of us would consider it to be sentient, no. Adam.
Okay. Is it artificial? Like, that's not what I want to say. Is it a piece of like non-organic technology?
Yes.
Or
it is.
Or the object, non-organic.
Sure.
Does it involve the Enterprise in any way?
It does not involve the Enterprise, no. Cinematographic, can it survive in the neutral zone? In the neutral zone. Like, just not in a starship, just like out there in space, like just sitting in the neutral zone. I would say if you could find a way to get it out there, yes, it could survive that, sure.
Is this in Deep Space Nine?
It is not in Deep Space Nine.
Is it in Next Gen?
It is not in Next Gen. Page 14617 says, is it in Voyager? It is indeed in Voyager. Yeah, we're doing a Voyager top 10 tonight. I thought I would go for a Voyager thing, yeah. Adam, what do you think?
Is it a piece of technology that's integral to the operation of Voyager?
No, certainly not.
Okay.
Cinematographic means on a neutral zone planet. I mean, like, there's nothing special about neutral zone planets as opposed to any other planets, right? As far as, like, whether something could survive on it. Like,
the ground is lava.
I will... That is apparently like a game show on Netflix now. Yep. Did you see that?
Yep.
The show
I haven't watched one.
I don't know what it is.
It looks hilarious, actually.
It looks like a Nickelodeon show. Yeah. Okay, Brandon.
Is it... Does the Doctor use it in Voyager?
I will say that the Doctor may at some point sort of interact with it. Actually, I don't even think that happens. Okay. No, and I'll also give you, because you guys seem to need a little bit of help. That it's not a piece of technology that would be used in the sense that you were thinking.
Well, I had a guess, but it's probably wrong.
Let me see. HB Haga, does it make a buzzing sound? It does not make a buzzing sound.
Huh. And it's Federation and origin. I'm trying to think here. Does it cause Voyager? Does it put the Voyager in peril?
In an oddly roundabout way, yes, it absolutely does. Brandon?
Oh my. Does it come from another Federation ship that we encounter?
Nope. Tom, is it the camera? It is not the camera. What an odd guess. Nobody's ever asked me that before.
What camera? The Doctor's weird holographic
Yeah, was
camera?
he talking about that, or was he talking about, like, meta fourth wall break, the camera filming the show? Adam.
Is this holographic in nature?
It is. It is holographic in nature. Okay. Yes.
Now we're getting somewhere.
The alive question becomes very irritating. And how do you start one of these when you're dealing with a hologram? Brandon.
Is it is it?
And that's why I didn't just say no, because that would have thrown you guys way off. Brandon.
Is it found on the Prometheus?
No. You also already kind of asked that or something. You said, did it come from another ship? Like, no, it doesn't come from another ship.
Another ship found in a Delta Quadrant was the question.
I thought you said another Federation ship.
So like you're asking the sorts of questions that narrow things down way too much. Like, it's like you've picked a thing in your head already, and then you're asking questions about it instead of trying to narrow it down to a thing. Like, you might as well just like give guesses at that point. I don't know, Brandon. Like that's not the. It's not the best way to play this game, I don't think. But no, it is not from. And also, we've already established. I think that it shows up on the ship. Have we not? Maybe we haven't. I forget. No. Edax, we are not talking about extra-dimensional aliens. No, we are not. Adam.
Is it a holodeck program? It
is not a program. No.
Not a program. Okay.
Brandon.
Does it have anything to do with the Fairhaven program?
Nope.
Okay.
I've probably forgotten what this was.
I don't see any other. No, you definitely haven't. Like I said, this is pretty easy when you latch onto it. No, David, it is not the holographic Cardassian doctor. Nope.
Oh goodness!
It is not Golmoset.
Krell
or Krell-Moset. I'd assume every Cardassian's a gull at some point.
It's not a specific program. Could it be?
No, a specific program would be like if Brandon had asked, "Is it Fairhaven?" It's not like a program like that.
But it could be an element from that. Okay. Does this take the form of one of the crew members or cast members?
It does not do that. No, that's a great question.
Okay.
We're not looking for Marseille or something.
I thought it was going to be a holographic Seska from Worst Case Scenario.
Brandon.
Does it... Do we see it on the holodeck?
Yes.
Let me think here.
Andy, Brandon was already getting around EMH Mark II. It is not that.
Does this kind of... Does it take the appearance of a monster?
No, not a monster. Nope.
I thought you were going to be like the Beowulf monster from that.
No,
I was thinking that too.
Nope.
Does it?
What is that called? Why can't I think of the name of that? It starts with a G. I can never remember the name of that. Hello, Mr. Roboto. See, now we're not even doing Trek trivia. We're doing like ancient literature trivia. Or medieval literature. I guess I shouldn't say ancient. Ancient if you're in the Star Trek future.
Star Trek,
Grendel, thank you. God.
Does it have anything to do
that
with
was
the
the monster, yes.
God.
And then they had that,
with the
that,
chaotic
that book from his
Captain
perspective.
Proton
It does have
programs.
to do with that, Brandon.
Okay.
Do you have a guess?
Is it Chaotica?
It is Chaotica.
Oh.
That's what we were looking for, sir. Yeah, if you get into the realm of holograms, you want to like narrow it down before you start trying to go to like specific ones, Brandon. You're just kind of wasting your turn. You might as well just throw guesses out.
I mean,
when you're like, is it a thing on the? Well, now there's one answer now. There's one. You're not helping to narrow it down, Brandon.
It's not Satan's robot.
Yeah, I thought about doing Satan's robot.
Satan's robot.
that would be pretty funny.
Yeah, but then I did not do Satan's robot. Okay, let's start our top 10 countdown for Voyager, starting with numbers 10 down to 6, and then next time we will do our absolute top 5. My wife has not had time to make her list unless she's sent it to me while we're talking. She has not. She sent me a message that says, "We're here," which is no one's favorite Voyager episode. So, we are now going to begin with Brandon and find out what Brandon's 10th favorite episode of Voyager of all time is. And you guys feel free in the comments to let us know some of yours. Brandon.
Okay, my favorite is not everyone's favorite.
I know what you're going to say. I know what he's going to say.
Timeless.
He had to put Timeless on his list. I actually thought it would be higher, and I think it's only at 10 because he knows that you and I are going to scoff at it.
No, actually, I've got 9 others that I think are actually a little bit better. But Timeless starts in the future. Harry Kim, they discover the crashed remains of the Voyager as it was when they tried to get home, and they left the slipstream and they destroyed the ship, and most everybody died. And they want to fix that, of course, because they always do in the future in Voyager. They want to fix the past without regards to the present of their present. Yeah. So that is one of my favorites, just because I like the premise, and I think that it gave Harry Kim something more fascinating to do than sometimes he usually gets. Well, that's not exactly true, but it gives him another fascinating thing to do, and I dig it. I think it could have been executed slightly better, but I do enjoy it.
It's still good enough. You put it on a top 10. I just think it's such a standard stuff that never happened episode. It's like we came up with a premise that would be all novel and gimmicky and exciting. Opening, just like it's like we have our 100th episode. What is an image that we can make a big deal out of, right? Oh, Voyager's encased in ice, and then we spend the entire time just trying to solve that. And it's like, and what's kind of annoying about it too, Brandon, is Voyager does that too many times too, going all the way to Endgame, where it's like there's all these futures that never end up happening. So that, in fact, I think retroactively after Endgame, episodes like that are worse because it would almost be cooler if they didn't actually managed to get home at the end of that show, and then all those, so that it wasn't just we have to keep like having plot armor for the ship itself so that eventually it will still make it home. The constantly getting not getting home in the future and then solving that in some technobabbly way makes that so much worse.
How many times?
Like, there's some fun novel things in that episode, sure. I like Geordi showing up and stuff, but all of its trappings, like, it's not a great story.
How many times ultimately does Voyager just get destroyed, and then through some construct of the episode, isn't by the end? Especially in future scenarios.
So it happens constantly. And so I don't mean to dog on your favorite episode. You're like your favorite's your favorite. You like it because you like it. You don't have to explain it necessarily, but I've never understood that. Like,
time and time again.
Well, I hope Endgame's not on your list or we just can't be friends anymore.
It is?
No. It is not.
I'm just kidding, Brandon.
Well, it's not on my list for good reason.
All right.
It's episode.
My number 10 is gonna be Think Tank.
It's a good one.
Think Tank. I almost put that on.
Think Tank's awesome.
That made my member honorable mentions.
Yeah, it's great. It's got the guy from Seinfeld in it, who's this big, huge, giant Star Trek fan. What's his face? Alexander.
Yes.
Jason Alexander. Yeah, and it's just a really fun premise. And it's executed pretty well. I kind of like it's kind of a fun minimalistic
I
episode.
like the jellyfish alien.
Yeah, it's got those fun aliens that it does. It's like all the money went into those, which is kind of cool. Like they built this little set for this ship, but the idea is that you've got this ship that goes around helping people, but there's always a cost for it, and they're not always super above board in what they ask for. And ultimately, the big thing they want from Voyager is like it's a very too good to be true kind of thing, which happens a lot in Voyager, and it's one of the better of those. And Jason Alexander plays this alien who's put together this motley crew of like problem solvers, and they can fix all these problems. They do puzzles, and they do it somewhat just for the intellectual curiosity. It's one of those like the bad guy, the ultimate bad guy is also exploring too, but they're doing it in a more like not okay kind of like twisted way. And like it's another like perversion of Starfleet kind of. And anyway, at the what it turns out they want from Voyager is 7 of 9, and it's another Seven's the center of Voyager's universe episodes. But again, it's a really good one. Like you buy that guy wants 7, and she would make a lot of sense to be part of that crew if she wanted to go there. And Jason Alexander's just having the best time, and they gave him a really cool guest star role.
So one of the things that
I like when they. Oh, sorry.
One of the things in that episode is when Jason Alexander's trying to his character's trying to prove to Janeway that they are who they are this really great think tank. Is he says that they're the ones that cured the Vidian phage.
Yes, you remember that?
I was gonna bring that up too. Yeah,
it's great.
That was a great throwaway line.
Okay, Adam, what is your number 10?
Number 10, and this list is hard. I don't know. I just had a hard time with this list for some reason. I put 30 Days.
30 Days was a runner-up for me.
Yeah. I wanted to have a Tom Paris episode on there. And it's a good, it gave him, he was always kind of, supposedly rebelling or whatever, but it gave him like he was doing it for a reason this time or whatever, unlike the past. And I liked it. It took the form of the letter to his dad and stuff.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
It's a nice little character piece. And it's kind of a weird roundabout way of getting Paris into a rebelling for the right reasons kind of place. Like, the premise is odd, but I like it, where he goes to this water planet and he's not agreeing with what their government is doing, and their planet is in peril, and it's kind of it's a parallel story to it's another environmental kind of message kind of show, and the government sweeping stuff under the rug or in denial and pretending like things aren't happening that are going to destroy their water planet. And Paris is a real sentimental guy and falls in love with everything, and he tends to, when he finds something he loves, he'll do anything for it, and so he ends up getting demoted because he breaks the rules and Prime Directive and stuff and trying to help them. And maybe not Prime Directive, but Starfleet rules.
Well, it's basically the Prime Directive, I'm pretty sure, because they asked him not to interfere, and he interferes with the society anyways to try to fix that.
No, that's true. I guess it does.
It was basically, it wasn't even really a planet, was it? It was like basically a bubble of water and space, and the force field that was keeping it all together was breaking down.
Yeah,
because they
were like, "Oh, it's all fine."
That's what it was.
Nothing to see here.
But it was a way to address a couple of things that we just didn't deal with much in that show. One of them was that Paris never really seemed that much like a rebel. It was like as soon as we brought him on the ship, it's sort of like the Maquis. It's like nobody ever felt like a Maquis, and he never felt like the rebel guy he was supposed to be. He wasn't even a Maquis. And the one place where he seems like he is, the whole thing's a rouge for like 3 episodes. You remember that? Or a ruse, excuse me. And then it was a rouge. It was a ruse. And then the other thing that it dealt with was just demotions. Like, we never really ever do that with
the only one that ever got demoted was Kirk, and he got basically like a consolation prize when it happened.
Which is to do the thing you should have been doing the whole time anyway.
Even though you saved the planet, we still have to go through the motions here or whatever.
Well, no cinematographic, not the temporal Prime Directive, because it wasn't a time travel episode. Brandon, what is your number 9, sir?
My number 9 is Blink of an Eye.
blink of an eye is on the wheel right now, in fact.
I like that one. That's a good one. Except Jay doesn't like how the Doctor can have had kids.
Well, no, I just need somebody to explain it to me. It just doesn't make any sense. That is a really fun episode, though.
Yes,
It's like the Vic Fontaine and Emperor's New Cloak.
Oh, I freaking hate that.
it's
No, that's worse. That's way worse. Because with the Doctor thing, it's totally ambiguous. So you just be like, I mean, I guess with they have such futuristic technology. I guess the idea is supposed to be that somehow they make it work. I don't get why the Doctor. Surely the Doctor knows something about it. You would think that he would try to develop that technology on his own after he gets back. The Vic Fontaine thing is just dumb. It's just cartoony nonsense. If you don't know what we're talking about, we don't have time to get into it right now, but we may bring that up in a later episode. Emperor's New Cloak is just really bad in the first place. But anyway. I'm sorry, did you have other things to say about that?
No, we covered it.
That's a planet that see you notice that a lot of the episodes that we're picking for Voyager are big high concept episodes, and I think those are a lot of Voyager's best episodes. What is frustrating about that series for me, and I don't want to get too much into the ins and outs of why Voyager is not as good of a show as it should have been, but the kinds of episodes that we're talking about are the kinds of things TNG did well, and that's because for a lot of reasons Voyager was kind of forced into being TNG Part 2 when the actual premise for that show is lost in space trying to get back. Should have been more serialized, should have been maybe a little bit darker, or at least the ship should have been in more peril more often. So I wish that more of the episodes we were going for were serialized, story driven, like a lot of the DS9 picks. And with DS9, we also went for a lot of good standalone episodes, but a lot of them weren't big high concept things. They were really cool political shows and political intrigue shows and things like that. Voyager, our favorite picks for that show with that premise should have been more of those kinds of things, and they're not going to be. They're going to be the big high concept TNG type episodes.
Right.
True enough.
And the reason, even though I haven't looked at their list, that I can be sure that will be the majority of the great episodes is because they didn't make those. That's the point I'm making.
Right.
Okay, so is it my turn next? I guess we were going clockwise from where I'm sitting anyway. My number 9 is Someone to Watch Over Me. Don't ask me why I love that episode so much, but I do. It's one of those that I go back to a lot for some reason. Do you guys
I'm drawing a blank on this episode.
That's the one with 7 where she's
the Doctor's teaching her how to date.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's just a really nice character piece for her, and it does do that irritating kind of reset the status quo for TV thing at the end where the Doctor wants to tell her his feelings, but he can't because otherwise there would be story progression, and we just can't have that. And it might have been okay if down the road we actually finally, explored a potential romance with them, and it's all most fans ever wanted from those two because it made so much sense to put them together. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody that didn't think that was a good idea.
I definitely would have liked to have seen it.
I mean, it just made sense. Or if they couldn't get together, there should have been an attempt at it, and it kind of failed. It's really sad that they didn't at least try it.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, that's just a real kind of heartfelt, almost tearjerker for me. I really like it. Makes me happy.
Yeah.
And also, Bob Picardo's a good singer, and just anytime he gets to sing is nice. Although I didn't put Virtuoso on my list because I don't think that's a great episode.
No,
but it's interesting, and I think that's more high concept, but it's not the best executed.
Adam.
Okay, my number. Where are we? Number 9 is One Small Step. That is the episode where 7 finds they all find the first Mars mission spacecraft inside that eddy, and 7 thinks it's kind of junk at the beginning, but then she winds up really, she listens to the astronauts' recordings, and
we get flashbacks to Phil Morris, and I love Phil Morris. And he's one of my favorite actors.
I forgot about that episode.
Yeah, I did too, actually. And I don't know if that would have made my list, but it should have been a runner-up. I never think to go back to that one, and I know there's other Voyager episodes where if I went back and watched them now, I would be like, oh yeah, that should be on my list. But there's some that and I've been going back through that show, but I'm not to that yet. What is that, 6, 7?
I think it's in 6.
Yeah.
I think they do the episodes where Seven learns a valuable lesson about herself or about interacting with others. They do really well with her.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that?
Not really. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
It's a good one. It'll be fun to finally watch that here. I don't think I've seen that more than a couple times. Brandon.
Yes, sir.
What is your number 8?
My number 8 is Eye of the Needle.
Eye of the Needle is a season 2 episode.
Yeah, and for me, that one always kind of gets me because here we are, stranded out in the Delta Quadrant, and we think we have this way to early on to tell Starfleet, here we are. But it turns out that that one of the things I like in this episode is they don't think to look up this guy that they've interacted with until after they're done interacting with him and the eye is closed. And
that was a little too easy.
Well, they put all their hopes on this, and then they understand. Then they finally understand it. Oh,
yeah,
well,
they didn't
unfortunately,
it was silly they didn't think to look it up. Yeah.
While they were looking,
I would have just contrived some reason that they couldn't find him. Or like, we've looked everywhere and he's just not in our databanks. And also, no, actually, what they should have done is just been like, well, he's a Romulan. We don't have a whole lot of intel on the Romulans, so this is just a guy we don't have in it. Like, why would? And I don't mean to complain about this episode because it is a good one. Mm-hmm. I didn't put it on my list, but it's good. I definitely can see why you did that. You get to the end of that episode, and they needed... Oh, I know what it is. They needed to be able to look it up at the end so they could tell you what the time period was. Because the idea is that it turns out he is in the past. So they actually could have sent word through the wormhole. Or could they have even gone through it? I can't remember what the whole thing was.
It was too small for them to get through.
Send a message, but the reason the reveal at the end was because they found out, he died.
Oh yeah, he had died already. Yeah, so even in the past, that's what it was. They couldn't relay the message. Yes. So they had to be able to look him up in the computer to say, oh, he's dead already. He couldn't deliver the message. And if only they could have gotten that information some other way, all they had to do was be like, we tried to look him up. He's not in our computer banks anywhere.
So it would have been interesting if he had died in pursuit of sending that message to Starfleet in the past about the future. Because I think that... this was a Romulan that was willing to work with them, even as Starfleet, and he understood that this was something novel that was happening on his side, even in him being in his present and Voyager being in their present. He understood the gravity of the situation.
And he's great.
And I really appreciated that.
We don't cast a lot of bad Romulan guest stars. Have you noticed that? Like, they're always good. That was Von
Armstrong, wasn't it?
That was Von Armstrong. I forgot about that. Yeah. He'll go on to be the main admiral in Enterprise.
Yes. And dozens of other one-time roles in Star
Mr. Roboto, can Starfleet look up Romulans like that? I could buy it in that case because it's old intel.
Old intelligence.
But like I said earlier, I'm just saying, I don't mean to nitpick or whatever, but I'm just saying that if they...
Why did they wait till the end?
Yeah, they could have covered their bases by going ahead and looking it up, and then you would have and then not found anything, and then you would have just needed to come up with some other way to deliver that exposition at the end. I don't know how exactly you would do that, but it does make them seem kind of dumb they didn't look that up. But then you'd have no episodes.
I kind of buy it in the sense that their initial excitement over this opportunity, they kind of rush this opportunity and they don't even think to look up this guy. First of all, he's a Romulan. Why should they even have any information on him? Then they learn he's in the past. They just don't get around to looking him up yet. That might be giving it too much credit.
But it is giving it too much credit because you would always look up a Romulan to see if you had any intel on whether or not you could trust him. So that's the first thing. Of course you would look that up. But the second thing is you were forgetting about downtime. They have to keep calling him. It's not like they talk to him for 5 minutes on the bridge so they don't have time to even think to go do a thing. True. They're sleeping in between talking to him. Of course they look it up. Yeah.
Of course.
But anyway, now we're just reviewing things. What is my number 8? My number 8, and I went back and forth between several for this spot. Knight almost got on here, but I went with Drone.
Drone. That's
one.
a good one.
I love Drone. In Star Trek Club, we always like to call it Doctor One.
Dr. One.
Dr. One.
Yeah. So Drone is weird because of the episode title. Drone's the one with the 29th century Borg,
Right.
where there's a Borg that gets created through a weird cocktail of the Doctor's mobile emitter intermixing with Borg nanoprobes and like something else.
And a transporter accident.
Yeah,
And I always get it confused because there's an episode called One also.
That's
which
well,
is
that,
the name of the
that's what I was just
Borg,
about
and I always
to
mix
mention.
it up.
Yeah. Well, remember I said there's an episode title thing. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
So not
Oh,
only
okay,
is
yeah.
there an episode called One, but it happens 2 episodes before this. So you have an episode called One, which is the episode where, and it's okay, where 7 of 9, they remade it later in Enterprise, where 7 of 9
Yeah.
is having to run the ship by herself with just her and the Doctor, and everybody's in stasis. That's 1. It's about 7 having to be 1 by herself. And then, like a couple episodes later, in the next season, they do Drone, which is about a character named One. And that's why we like to call it Dr. One. But anyway, that guest star is fantastic, and sort of like Quinn in Death Wish, you get to the end of the episode, and you wish this guy could be part of the crew, and they act like maybe he's going to, and you know that they're not going to shake things up like that, but it makes it
The only
worse.
time they ever did was those dumb
The
Borg
stupid
kids.
Borg kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest. I mean, at least the most whiny teenagery guy got killed off in in Collective. But yeah, Collective sucks, and I don't know. Each ep was fine, but anyway, yeah. But no, it sucks. Like they finally start shaking up status quo, and it's with characters I don't care about. One should have stuck around. Quinn should have stuck around. How
That
cool
guy
would it
that
have
was-
been to have a human XQ as one of your main
would be cool.
characters? It's
That would've
freaking
been
awesome,
really neat.
and that's as good of an
That guy
idea
that
as
was,
7 of 9.
Well, and it fits with the episode. They could have easily have gone there with that episode, and that would have been his way to ultimately, do what he wanted to do, but also give the Q a way out from having him kill himself.
I guess the only other well, yeah, and that's what they do, but then he just, gets Q to give him a thing at the end and kill himself, Brandon. But anyway, I guess the problem with keeping One around is that he's too advanced. And also, you'd have to come up with some other way for the Doctor to keep getting around without his mobile emitter. But they could have figured that out.
You can figure that out, but isn't that part of the thing? They're like, well, you're so advanced. What if the Borg did get a hold of you?
Well, yeah,
Didn't they say that in the episode?
that's what the episode's about. Like, that's why he kills himself at the end.
Is
so
it?
the Borg can't get their hands on him.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
But what I'm saying is, if you had managed to keep him around and keep him on the ship, he would be a plot. It would be too easy to make him a plot device every episode, where he's so advanced you could get out of any situation with him. Adam,
Right.
what is your number 8? Or are we
My
on
number
still on 8?
8?
Yeah, your number 8.
I actually put this here. I put it here because of the ending, but I still like it.
Yeah.
Year of Hell.
Oh, you sound like you're trying
That's
to
number 8.
apologize. You should apologize for that choice. Year of Hell is not good enough to be on the list. I know it's on yours. It's probably number 2 or 1. It's not good enough to be on
It's
the
not,
list.
but it's on there.
I enjoy. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it when I was a kid, and like it feels like a huge movie, like major event episode. That ending kills it, man.
Yeah.
And it's so compromised. It's compromised almost as bad as Unification, but it's a better episode than Unification, in that Unification was supposed to be a 5-parter, and then they had to cut it down to ribbons. And the same kind of thing happened to Year of Hell. Year of Hell is worse because they set it up as a big, giant season-long event.
Talk about it.
In an episode called Before and After, and then they end up not being allowed to do that, probably by the network. But no, Anorax is great. The cinematography in that is fantastic. I mean, it is a fun event. I love going back and watching that. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Adam. What else did you want to say about Year of Hell?
I don't know what else. I just like. Yeah, I like the overall story, except for the ending. I enjoyed. I don't know why I put it so high though. I haven't watched it in a long time. I haven't rewatched Voyager in probably, I want to say 2014 was the last time I rewatched it.
The time travel in that also absolutely breaks your brain. Like, the way he's able to manipulate stuff is just like, I don't even want to think about
It's
it.
kind of weird. Yeah.
The pocket watch thing is great. Is great drama. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And I love little character details like Tuvok getting blind and needing help from Seven to shave and stuff like that. Like it felt like you were watching what that show was supposed to be.
Right.
Too many of the best episodes are, oh, this is what this should have been. That's the problem with Voyager. Brandon,
yes, sir.
What is your number 7?
My number 7 is Distant Origin.
Distant Origin made my follow-up, my runner-ups list. I love Distant Origin.
It's a great episode with the Voth.
The Voth.
And, crimes against, what is it?
Doctrine. Crimes against Doctrine.
Yes,
Doctrine.
That's a good one because it's like, they treat their doctrine like the Federation treats their prime directive. And, the blasphemy that this alien civilization should reach out into the cosmos and find, where they came from. I find it interesting, that it's from an alien's perspective on where they were coming from, and I like. Yeah,
we're in the background, the Aizen character. Yeah, and usually I don't like that. Usually I will complain with the guest star as the main character. Nope, it works there. It's fantastic.
It totally works, and I like how. This has one of the hokiest things, though, I think, in Voyager. Is they have a complete fossil record, on file, and they're able to, with certainty, extract that the Voth came from what these dinosaurs from Earth's.
That's not why it's dumb. So the idea that they could go back and figure out all the genetic markers and tell that the Voth came from Earth, I totally buy that.
I buy that. Yes.
The problem is that on the holodeck they can extrapolate it, but that's not what you said. They can extrapolate perfectly what the dinosaurs would have evolved into, and they look exactly like the Voth.
Right,
that's ridiculous.
How evolution works. It's not some set in stone thing.
Right, it depends on your environmental
it's not some predetermined
factors.
thing that exists.
Yeah,
it's based on, you evolve based on your environment.
Yeah. So while these dinosaurs look similar to Earth's dinosaurs, they would be vastly.
They just did that to have, a big visual dramatic moment where it's like, oh yeah, look, we're right about this. All you had to do was go 98% of the genetic markers are the same. They must be Earth dinosaurs.
Earth. Yeah, they didn't need to have that part.
The best thing about Distant Origin is that premise is stupid, and I love that episode. Like, it shouldn't work. When you read that as a log line, I mean, it sounds like a really kitschy, crappy, 1950s movie. It's like, we go out in space and we find the Earth's dinosaurs, having left the planet and evolved. That sounds so dumb to do, especially in Star Trek. And it's really good.
Yeah.
It has no business existing. Adam, did Distant Origin make your list somewhere?
Well, what number are we
on? Oh, he's not going to tell me. He's not going to tell me. Yeah, we're on number 7.
Well, the number 7 was
Distant Origin. Wow, I can't believe. Man, we would have had a 3-way tie if I had done it. I almost did it.
Rip off the Silurians from Doctor Who, kind of, with that, because that's exactly what they were an alien or a species of dinosaur that evolved to become sentient, and they lived underground on Earth.
Yeah, Mr. Roboto, I know it's not all Earth's dinosaurs. I didn't say that. I just say it's a species of dinosaurs. Yeah.
Right, but
Busted Sim says, but Star Trek has never done evolution well. That's why we have Enterprise and its genocide advocating Dear Doctor. Boy, he just will not get off Dear Doctor. Yeah, it's not great, but man, that's hilarious. But yes, you're right. Well, I mean, the worst is the de-evolution thing in Genesis. That makes no sense. Edward Bedore.
Or Threshold.
Threshold, yeah. to the point where Braga wished he could decanonicize it, and he wrote the thing. Edward Bedore, $2 super chat. Is it dumb, or is it These Are the Voyages dumb? Are you talking about just the premise of that? No, it's not These Are the Voyages. These Are the Voyages is dumb for much different reasons. Okay, so we go to finally our number 6, and this will cap off our list for this week. Brandon, what is your number 6? I can't wait to find out. Wait, can I guess?
Yes.
I'm just and don't tell me if this is on your list somewhere. I'm just gonna be excited if somehow I randomly peg one. Equinox.
No.
Oh!
It's Deadlock.
I had it. Oh, Deadlock's good.
Deadlock is one of my go-to
Deadlock's
episodes.
Weird because a lot of people hate it and a lot of people love it. It's a strangely polarizing episode of Star Trek.
This is also where you get one of your many time split clones of Harry Kim. Harry Kim dies an inordinate amount
Still
of
bothers
times
me
on
that
the,
he
on the
dies.
show.
And then
Dies-
just
he dies
replace
a
him.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and then another, and I mean, to be fair, they're essentially the same person.
They weren't the same person up until like
Of
that
course.
instant,
Up until the moment
too,
before.
so you know.
So it kind of
Yeah.
works.
So I sort of get why it doesn't come up. You'd think at least one more time in the series somebody would have mentioned it. It
Yeah,
never
so
comes up
remember
again.
there's your frozen body, your double's body still floating around in space, dead.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We,
We could have handled that more delicately. Yeah.
Keep it going,
these
keep
two
them up.
ships are just slightly out of phase with each other, basically because of I looked it up earlier. The photon bursts that are being used to help keep the antimatter reaction alive, to keep them, from being dead in space completely and possibly exploding. But then the Vidians show up, and they can only see like one version of Voyager in the slightly phased out, so they start attacking it. And Janeway faces a really big choice and decision against her own self. She's basically fighting it out, with herself, and has to decide, one of us, there can be only one, basically.
And it's another one of those, we're getting to sort of experience what this show should have actually been like all the long episodes, in a way where you have, the Voyager that's in good shape and the other one that's like falling apart and probably not going to make it. And you kind of wish somehow the one that was busted was the one that got to keep going so that we could like have, more
The one that was busted
interesting
did keep
drama.
going.
Yeah.
They just fixed
They just
all
fixed
up
it
by
really
the
easily.
episode.
That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, see,
As they do in
stupid
Voyager.
network mandates. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was-
Pretend
yeah.
like we have any resource problems at all in this
Because
show.
that was part of the conundrum. Like, well, your ship is way more damaged. Could we bring everybody over and just have doubles of everybody?
Yeah.
Like, and then they're like, well, your like it makes the most sense in the context of this episode for the more damage to be the one that ends up surviving. But yeah, they do fix it.
What
rather
I love about it
conveniently.
is that one of them has to be sacrificed for the other instead of an easy, we figured out how to merge them back
Right.
thing, which is what we'd usually do.
Because at that point, they're all equal copies of everybody. So you're basically sentencing entire crew to
And
death.
isn't it interesting that both times we kind of did that? I mean, the other time, and we just watched this a couple weeks ago, but the other time with Course Oblivion, the other time we do it, it's not actually the other ship sacrificing itself for the other one, but it's still a Voyager that makes it and a Voyager that
Right.
doesn't.
And Voyager.
Isn't it interesting that both of those are pretty darn good? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kudos to
I
them
like
for pulling it
I
off.
like Deadlock. SF Debris, who's one of my favorite reviewers, hates that episode. Never quite understood why.
I really like it. So that's my top, my
We never talk
bottom
about how
five
this
of
is,
the top
they
10.
took the duplicate Naomi Wildman. We only talk about the double Harry Kim
that's
that comes
right.
on, but they
Yeah.
replaced Naomi Wildman as she died in childbirth.
Yeah,
or whatever,
but at
as
least
an infant.
Yeah, but at least one of them hadn't had time to live at
That's
all
true.
yet, so it's not as weird as Kim, where it's like
Right.
there's a version of you, like the version that we have been living with for 2 years is dead the rest of that show, and we
Is
never bring it up again. Naomi Wildman got really lucky. She should not have been
Right.
born. Like, she dies, but then there's a loophole, and she actually gets to
Right.
make it. That has one of the coolest ideas, I think, with using technology in Star Trek, which is the fetal transport. And I always wondered why we didn't do that more. It was like like the skeletal lock. It's a thing that the Doctor has to come up with,
Skeletal
like
lock.
in the moment. I think a skeletal lock is
Right.
Scorpion, right? Where like in the moment we think of a thing that sounds really cool, and it's neat that Voyager did it. But if you think about it for any amount of time, you're like, this should have been like a routine thing we were already
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
You lock onto a skeleton, yes, of course. Instead of a C-section, you transport the child. Transporting is the safest, or at least
Yeah, why would
allegedly,
they do that
the
instead
safest
of
thing
laser
ever.
Scalpel or whatever.
Wouldn't you always do that?
Always do that?
I don't
Right.
mean never have live childbirth. Of course, a lot of women would want to actually, have that experience, and there'd probably be reasons that potentially that the child would actually do better if it was born the way it was meant to, I would imagine, or at least I could see dealing with that in the show. So I wouldn't say every time a woman gets pregnant she should go 9 months and then transport the baby out, but as opposed to a C-section, that's a great idea, and I don't understand how nobody thought of it before the Doctor.
I think the idea is that something like that would just have maybe been considered far too dangerous to try to attempt. But the thing that I call BS on that is the fact that if you've already got a technology that is going to turn your molecules into pure energy and then turn them back, they already had to be precise enough to isolate every single molecule in the system.
I don't think I could see it being dangerous if you did it obviously too prematurely, but at the point where it's time to cut the umbilical cord, I would think that would be relatively simple.
But even
and
still,
also, I don't think it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't think that episode acts like it's going to be dangerous for him to do that, is the thing. It treats it like just in the moment. He's like, oh yeah, fetal transport, let's do that.
Sure.
Like,
but I think why they.
But I'm just saying, I think you're arguing with a thing that they never bring up. I don't think they act like it's dangerous, but I don't remember. I could be wrong about that.
Also, you've got the Vidians who are able to transport lungs out of just body parts out of people, without destroying the rest of that person too. So there's precedent in Voyager for this type of technology. This weird
gun that they point at people. It's like a handheld device.
Voyager definitely has a precedent.
But anyway, I just think you're overthinking it. I don't think it's like they figured it would be too dangerous. They always talk about the transporter like it's the safest thing you could possibly use. It's nobody thought of it until that moment. And all you have to do, we don't talk a lot about how childbirth happens in Star Trek, except for a couple of token things like Keiko O'Brien. All you have to do is have the Doctor not act like a genius for coming up with it. How come every cool thing he does has to be a thing he thought of? You know what I mean? Like, ingenuity, sure, and resourcefulness, sure, but the idea that we'd never done that before?
It should be in lieu of cesarean type.
That's what I said. They should do it instead of a C-section.
I agree with you.
My number 6 is Hope and Fear.
Hope and Fear.
With Arturis, who is trying...
that's on my...
Your runners-up?
Runners-up, yeah.
Arturis is trying to get revenge on the Borg for destroying his race, and it's a pretty good... kind of conspiracy episode where he's really likable. He comes onto the ship and he knows all these different languages and he's teaching the Voyager crew all these interesting things, and he's kind of the guide character that you wish Neelix had been in the first place. Like, if Arturis comes to Voyager in the first episode in Caretaker, it's like such a better show. But then it turns out that he's actually kind of a little bit out of his gourd, and he's wanting to go get himself assimilated if that's what it takes in order to get revenge on Janeway. It's not revenge on the Borg, it's revenge, now that I'm remembering it, it's revenge on Janeway.
He would blame her because of her alliance.
And I love that she has to pay for that again, because she never, she gets off too squeaky clean for all of that. And I also like that it's right at the end of that season that we bookend with Scorpion and then Hope and Fear, and you get to that episode, and the idea is, if she had just left well enough alone, 8472 would have destroyed the Borg, and who was she to decide that that's not what was supposed to happen? Mm-hmm. And his performance is just killer. I love what we're left with.
And that's Ray Wise. He's a fantastic actor. Has been in a lot of things.
He's been in another episode of Star Trek 2. He was the dad in the...
Who Watches the Watchers.
Who Watches the Watchers, yeah.
I love where we're left at the end of that episode with Seven and Janeway. I love the bookended Hollow Sport with hoverball or whatever
Velocity.
it is. That Velocity, that's what it was. Yeah, that whole thing is really nice, the way that works out character-wise and thematically. It's a beautiful episode. I like it a lot. And another thing I like about it is that it is a really good intentional season ender that's not a cliffhanger. Like, it stands alone great, but it also sort of like, I want to say it's season 4 of Buffy, that has another one of those that has a really good season ender, but it's not a cliffhanger. But yeah,
I expected that to be a cliffhanger when it first aired, and then it wasn't.
And it's cool that it's not, and it's big enough.
Money or something, I don't know.
And it's big enough to be one, but it actually shouldn't have been.
Isn't that?
It would have felt stretched potentially.
So don't they use what is it? Particle synthesis? Isn't that what the other ship uses to?
That's what they call it. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
it's just another form of replication.
Replicators.
Oh yes, Stephen Murphy. That he is one of the bad guys in RoboCop. Yep.
Yes, and he was Leland Palmer on Twin Peaks.
On Twin Peaks. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
He wasn't the guy from Alien Nation, was he? He reminds me of that guy, but I don't think he's the same guy.
From the TV show?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Or was he in? There's also one of the main characters in V that he reminds me of, but I don't think he's that guy either. But he looks a lot like both of those guys.
Who was the guy in Alien Nation?
I don't remember.
Oh.
What?
You know who the guy was in Alien? Well, no, he was the detective in Alien Nation. You know who the detective in Alien Nation TV show was?
Who's that?
Gary Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sobal.
I knew it was somebody
Some
in Star
guy
Trek.
named Eric Pierpoint was the guy on on Alien Nation that played the alien. But he was on every Star Trek show apparently, up until it looks like including Enterprise. This guy.
Adam, what is your number 6?
My number 6. I was kind of going back and forth on putting it on there.
Are you going to apologize for another episode?
Well, I'm not a huge event person, but it is a pretty good event. I put Scorpion on there.
Oh, Scorpion, 6. I love. Yeah, in fact, that's the only big Voyager event episode that I think is worthy of being on the list, in my humble opinion. You guys both put Urafel, so you don't agree with me clearly. Dude, there was a time 10 years ago I would have put on Urafel, but not anymore. I just can't bring myself to do it now. There are things that I want to love, right? There's that big Dark Frontier is terrible, and it shouldn't be. It should be awesome, but it isn't.
It's not as bad as my least favorite
Unimatrix Zero, which is horrid. Voyager, it's weird. Voyager has a not good 2-part cliffhanger between 2 and 3 with Basics, which is kind of dreadful. And then it has Scorpion, which is an unbelievably good episode. And then after that, not a lot of good 2-parters in Voyager.
Not really any,
besides Urafel. Well, I mean, I got a soft spot for Equinox. I got issues with Equinox, but I like it.
I got a soft spot for it, yeah.
But besides that, like, boy, a lot of those 2-parters are really bad.
The Killing Game aired better when it was like, it aired as one episode when it first aired, I think. So even though it's like a 2-parter, it aired like back to back.
So I watched that again recently because Sarah and I have been, I almost said 7. My wife 7 and I have been watching back through Voyager. And has it ever occurred to you, to either of you guys, that oddly Workforce is almost a retread of that episode?
Is it?
It's very strange.
They abduct everybody.
Where everybody gets, where people get abducted and they get their minds erased or not erased, but they get their identities replaced by other identities. And going all the way down to this, Brandon, you have a pregnant B'Elanna in both of them, and in one, it's a holographic baby, and they, for some stupid reason, feel the need to do exactly the same thing again because the actress is actually pregnant. And, like, I sort of get that, but I would have done a different premise just because of that. Like, really, both times B'Elanna gets her mind replaced with something else, she's got to be, like, this sad pregnant woman who's where the, person who knocked her up ran off. Like, come on, really? You did it twice?
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
I also swear that
I kind of like Workforce for some reason. I don't know why. I think
it's better than Killing Game.
that episode.
One of the main Nazi guys in the Killing Game, he played, I think, a Nazi in like an Enterprise episode.
Well, the guy that's the main Nazi guy is the guy that played one in Drone.
Oh, is that one? I didn't know that.
Wow.
But no, I don't think any of the Nazis from that are in the Enterprise Nazi episode. I don't think that's true. Pretty sure you're not right about that, but I would have to go back and look at it.
He was the alien bounty hunter on X-Files.
Oh, that is who that is.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, guys, we are already like past an hour in, so we're gonna go ahead and just do one episode tonight. I'm sorry to say, we're gonna do peak performance, and then we'll rate and chat about it, and then call it a day, and then next week maybe we'll get some Voyager in our Voyager show. But it's okay because we got like 2 Voyager episodes, and we were trying to do a DS9 show, so. It's fine. Okay, everybody pull up Season 2 of TNG on your Netflix or your DVDs, however you're going to do it. You guys have had an hour to pull it up if you've been here since the beginning, so maybe you already have it pulled up. And I'll give you an exact number here in a minute.
I like this episode in part for Dr. Pulaski's arc.
Well, we're just about to turn it on and talk about it, Brandon.
Well, I know, but I'm
going
getting ready
Shades
to...
of Grey afterward.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a double feature with Shades of Grey.
If we get that episode, are we gonna watch it or are we gonna skip?
Oh no, we're
gonna say
totally watching it.
This is not
Have
a
to
real
watch it.
episode.
Why would we skip it? I mean, if we're
It's
gonna
not a real episode.
yeah, I don't care. If we're gonna skip that, why did we have to watch These Are the Voyages? It's not fair. I also want to say that's not a real episode.
So let's have our
No,
top
clip-
10 not real episodes.
Clip shows
of
are
Star
stupid,
Trek.
man. There's not enough to say. I mean, there's a lot of not good episodes, but there's not enough the things that I would even snarkily say are not real episodes, Brandon.
Right.
Top 5.
Okay, is everybody ready
Yes.
for peak performance? This is no, you're right, Brandon. I mean, that's one of the great things about it. One of the other great things about it is that this is where Picard finally becomes like, I don't know, like a character. All right, here we go. Everybody get to timestamp 0 and get ready to press play when I say now. Everybody, please press play right now. Burr, burr, burr. Oh crap! I gotta get this going through the right place.
New pulsar.
Oh, this isn't working. I don't know why. Okay, I'm just gonna have to turn my audio way down because it's gonna be playing from my speakers for some reason. I don't know why that is.
So here's Wesley wearing another one of his traditional non-Starfleet sweaters.
What timestamp are you at? I'm like, somehow I got out of sync here.
Like 51 seconds, 52 seconds, somewhere in there.
All right.
As Chief Medical Officer, I am ordered to report to Starbase 515 immediately.
Stubborn.
Yeah,
as
sorry,
ever.
Adam. I don't know what is going on with my audio. Could not begin to tell you why I did that. So I've said this before, I think, but I like Pulaski. There are certainly missteps with her, but I would bet you guys $1,000 that if only Pulaski had been allowed to be on for 1 or 2 more seasons, she would have been one of the fan favorite characters in this show.
Sure.
I'm really lost because I didn't see Pulaski in the opening scene. Are we watching the same episode?
We're watching peak performance, right?
It's called Ramion?
Oh no, I picked Samaritan Snare. Sorry.
Okay, I guess we need to start all over.
I was thinking of the wrong episode, and then I had audio things, and I missed that. Yeah, sorry, that was my fault.
Oh.
Okay.
That was my fault.
All right, let's just start it all over.
Let's just
again,
watch
everybody.
Samaritan Snare. Apparently that's what I wanted to watch. Sorry about that.
We are Packlet. We look for things. Things that make.
Yeah,
us-
everybody start over. I'm sorry, I messed that up.
I didn't even notice.
I wish I knew what was going on with my audio. Yeah, there we go. No, you're right. It is right before Shades of Grey. Okay, episode 21 of season 2. Sorry, guys.
Yes, an ultimate episode.
Well, I'm dumb. And I just ruined Star Trek Club. All right, everybody. It's at the end of the episode now, Brandon.
How did that happen?
I don't know, but now it wants us to watch Shades of Grey. I quit. I'm done. I'm glad we're only doing 1 episode tonight.
Stick a fork in me. I'm done.
I shouldn't even be allowed to be in this commentary. You guys could just do it yourselves. Why is it doing that,
Why?
Brandon?
I don't understand. What?
Oh, hang on. I'll fix it. We're having technical problems now.
There it is. Shades of Grey.
Okay. Everybody get ready to press play when I say now. We will be in the right episode this time. Here we go. Everybody please press play right now. Okay, now I'm going to prove that I know what we're doing and say, Zach Dorn!
Braslota system.
Here we go.
So there are
Watch
two
the-
Zach Dorn in TNG that are named. One is Kohlrami. The other one shows up in Unification, am I right?
Yes,
In the first part of
Mr.
Unification?
Dakachin.
Mr. Dakachin, yeah.
Mr. Dakachin.
Edward Bedore puts in a $5 super chat and says, at least you're not Rich from Red Letter Media who calls everything a ripoff of Star Trek. Yeah, I get why you're saying that, Edward. The deal with that is there's a lot of things that, like, of course, remind me of Star Trek and that you can make, kind of connections and callbacks to, but is it that it's really ripping it off, or that there's just a lot of Star Trek with a lot of the same ideas that other things wind up with? This guy on the bridge back here, I gotta mention him. This is the youngest I've ever seen him in anything.
Yes, I've seen him in other stuff.
Yeah, so he is in 24, and shows up as military guys constantly. He's like the main Secret Service guy through almost all of 24, and I like him a lot. Like I said, it's nuts how young he is here. He shows up in a couple other places in Trek, basically just playing a background bridge guy. I think he's also on the bridge of the Enterprise B in Generations, but I may be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure he's there,
like
though.
One of the people that, yeah.
And you could say he's playing the same character, except that it's, a million years ago, so it can't be the same character. But he might as well be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon, it's War Games.
Indeed.
Where did they find this guy? Who is this actor, do you know? For Kohlrami?
The guy that plays Kohlrami?
Yeah.
He is... let me look and see here.
He has
Kohlrami.
kind of a melty skin.
His name's Roy Brocksmith.
I was just wondering if you knew him from anything, because
And
he's got such a
he
distinct
seems very
face
familiar to me.
and voice. The fact that guy...
Oh, he was in Total Recall.
Oh.
Yeah.
The fact that guy was never in a remake of Wizard of Oz is just an absolute crying shame. He just seems like he belongs in a Wizard of Oz movie. Yeah.
He played another Star Trek character in Indiscretion, which was the episode where
Indiscretion
Dukat
is-
finds Zial.
Yeah. I wonder who he
Yeah.
was in that.
He was a Bajoran scrap metal dealer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he must have just gotten like a bit part in that scene.
Yeah.
Commander Riker with the beard now.
And this is
So much different.
I mean, it's right at the end of the season, but
Yeah,
okay.
I know, but he just every time I go back to the first season that he had the beard, he definitely makes such a...
I mean, you see Riker with a beard for 6 seasons. It'd make a lot more sense if you said you're watching a season 1 episode. Isn't it weird seeing him without a beard?
And it definitely is, but to seeing where he started with this, just early Riker in general, but the first season with the beard always just sets me a little bit apart too, because I'm used to watching later episodes, when I do rewatch TNG.
I wish we'd done more with the Zagdorn. They seem like a really, kind of fun, interesting species. They seem like a behind-the-scenes species that's got to be constantly kind of driving the Federation and making things work, or Starfleet, and kind of making things work.
Right.
Because that Dakachin guy is running like a Starfleet scrapyard.
It's basically it's like a junkyard for starships.
And so I bet there's a lot of Zagdoran engineers.
They
and
seem
it
to be in support
they're good
roles.
at support roles. They're good at construction.
Yeah.
They're good at building things to make us go.
I'm
I'm gonna make every snare and snare reference I can.
You are smart. We like
is-
power.
He is Reginald.
They like power too. That's
They
why
do.
they're adopted.
Yep, that's right. So earlier when I thought we were watching something else, I was talking about Pulaski. We do see kind of how far she's come with Data, and how she's kind of rooting for Data to beat him at Stratagema. I will reiterate what I said earlier and say that she, I think, would have been a fan favorite character if she'd stuck around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you compare what we did with her in this season, and maybe part of it is because we didn't expect her to stick around, and so we felt like we had to, kind of get her a little bit to a place, and not a full blown arc, but kind of get her somewhere in the few episodes where we really do anything with her at all, versus what we do with Crusher throughout the whole show. It seemed like writers were a little bit inspired by Diana Muldaur to actually do something with her. And, you had the best script editor, in my opinion, that you had in the show during the season who left during 3, Snodgrass, and so I'm sure she had something to do with that. I want to give her some credit for what does work about Pulaski, and I want to think if Snodgrass had stuck around, I would have liked Crusher more later on. I'm not saying she's the only, good writer in TNG, but she was the script editor, and she was, propelling some things along, and I think... I think we gotta give her a little bit of credit for that. But anyway,
why is Worf
Muldaur is
doing
also
this?
a
I
better
don't know.
actress, and
Yes, she is.
surely that's going to inspire people to write cool stuff for her.
He's got a futuristic cactus in his quarters.
That's his chair. Are you talking about the plant?
The big plant, yeah.
Oh.
Is he doing a Lego set? Oh,
Yeah, he's building a model. I don't know why.
Didn't you build ships in bottles when you were a
Did you play in a
boy?
bottle? I was never a boy. No. I never played with toys, and I was never.
Oh, you remember O'Brien? Oh, he ships in bottles. Great fun.
Yeah. Oh, ships and bottles. Great fun.
Tom asked for home soil from TNG, so not a Voyager episode this time.
Ugly bags of mostly water.
Oh, that is that episode. Yeah. No.
What is that
Wait,
thing?
is
I'm thinking
it?
from
Is
the
that
alien.
it?
It
Yeah.
looks like a golf club.
Is it a
What
light?
is that?
Is it a magnifying light or something?
Is it the boom mic for the scene? What is
No,
it?
it's a light, some sort of lamp, but it's
It's
weird.
a kind of lamp. Is it his personal relaxation light, as Picard says in
look, he's got a Klingon
11001
ship down there,
or whatever, the Binar episode.
Oh yes, 11001001.
Yes.
Those quarters are weird.
Yeah, it's basically those quarters are a they're reusing the part of the set that was built for Kirk's quarters in the motion picture and then reused it in Wrath of Khan.
Is that what it was? Wow.
Yes.
I can't believe you know that. Okay, so
And
let me ask you this, Adam. Maybe you'll know this. Do we, like, a little bit later on, reupholster and change out some of what the furniture in the bridge is made of later so that it doesn't look as much like 70s, like, living room furniture? Or are we just
think they
lighting
do,
it
because there's
differently
some
later?
like at least on like the helm and the con and ops chairs, there's like a weird kind of, the leather is I don't know what it's called, but it's like it's stapled to where it's got wrinkles in it and stuff, like around the like the headrest and stuff.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that later on. They also changed the armrests on Picard's chair. I know that for sure. So I don't know if they reupholster the whole thing or not, or it might just
Okay.
be that lighting designer. You know how he changed.
By the way, Brandon, this is also one of TNG's decent teasers. Right away we're setting up the actual premise of the episode, and not just some throwaway thing that doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the episode.
Sure.
It doesn't, like, stop in the middle of interesting things happening. It does make you want to maybe keep watching. This is one of the few examples of holographic technology not on a holodeck of like video games being played
Yes,
in the air like in Star Wars, and they do
Right.
this a lot in the first couple seasons, and then we get away from it real
and they
hard.
don't ever do it again. Exactly. Like every table supposedly, or like Picard's desk, the observation lounge table, all had holographic projectors built in.
Heck, the
And we never see
game could
them
have
again.
done it. Instead of like
The game
just
could have
beaming
done
it
it
right
to
in your
the
head, it
dumb
could have been like right in front of
Google
your eyes,
Glass
but
thing.
everybody could see it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a legitimately futuristic sort of looking thing, especially for
It does
89,
look
90. And it feels like, kind of the progression of where video games might have gone looking at
Right.
arcades and Nintendo in the 80s.
It does seem like it seems like a almost like, I don't know.
Well, you know how we have 3D chess? It's 3D Pac-Man
Yeah.
is what it is.
It's like that, yeah. Some people complain about the remaster of season 2 because it was like farmed out to a different company, but I never really noticed a huge difference between it and the other remasters.
Yeah, honestly, so far I haven't noticed really any difference at all, because we haven't had a whole lot of like outside of the ship shot. I'll be curious to see if there's anything that looks like astoundingly cool when we do more space stuff in this episode, when we actually get into the war games. But like this all looks the way it looked to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've always
It's a little grainy, but they may not have been able to do anything about that. I mean, like,
Yeah, I don't think they did anything about the grain, right?
I think
There's
people
what I'm talking
probably
about with
complained
that.
about things that whoever did the rest of it also would not have been able to fix.
Right.
I always appreciate it when they show you like an older starship. In this era, they show you an older starship from a different era, and they make it look really cool and distressed in just the right ways. I've always appreciated their attention to the detail and the kind of work that they did for these types of things. But
I mean,
would
their
you-
models always look good, but the way that they would cut corners, of course, is they would take a model from a movie or something, and then they would just
Right.
bust it all up and put a lot of skid marks on
Supposedly
it and stuff.
for the battle, which was the first appearance of the Constellation class starship, they were going to use a Constitution class starship, and they dubbed actually Burton's line
Oh,
with the
wow.
word Constellation. Yeah,
I didn't know
don't know
that.
why they didn't do it. I don't know if it was because they just didn't want to show it again at this point, or if the model was being used for something else.
It may have been. Well, first
It
of
may
all, I
have
don't know
been-
what the model would have been used for, because there is no Constitution in movies that we're dealing with during this period. Like, we're already past that ship.
Well, they were going to use the refit Constitution class from the model
But
of
we've
the Enterprise.
blown
from
it
the
up
movies.
by now.
They didn't actually blow up the actual model.
I know, but you're saying maybe it was being used for something. The ship in the movies at this point is not a Constitution ship; it's an Excelsior ship.
No, the Enterprise in 4, 5, and 6. That was That was
Is
the
that
same
still a
Enterprise.
Constitution ship?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they used the same model. They just put
Did
an
they
A on it.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and it was.
I know. I
messed
guess
up,
you're right. I
right?
guess it's not an Excelsior class. I guess B was Excelsior.
That B was the
I always think of
Excelsior,
A
and
as
then-
Excelsior, but I guess it's not. No, you're right. Okay.
And then they messed, and the people did the special effects for 5 screwed up the model, I think. Partially. And also they had like some amusement park game amusement park ride for Star Trek in the 80s called like Star Tours. Was that Star Wars? They had something Star Trek related like Disneyland. And they screwed up the model. They like painted half of it gray, just solid gray. And they had to repair it.
So this is indeed the same class as the Stargazer, then,
Yes.
and they're using the Stargazer model.
Yes, and I
'Cause that
think
came
this might be
first.
the last time we see it. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't
wasn't
remember if
stock
it comes
footage.
back again. Do they find any reason to use it when in that silly episode where they bring back Damon? What's his face?
No, they don't show it there. The
I
only
didn't
other
think
time
they
I can
did.
think they might show it is when they have the task force in is that Redemption that they have the Starfleet task force where they make the net the
Yes.
tachyon net.
Yeah, where Data's got his own
They
ship.
might
Yeah.
use it. Yes, they might use it there.
Okay, so I can't believe Dakachin didn't get an action figure. I'm almost positive
Yeah,
that
they
didn't
made
happen.
everybody else. They could have
And
made the Stratagema thing.
They
too,
should have
as
made
a
that. You should have been able to buy
accessory.
that and just pretend like you were playing it, or they could have made it
Jay,
like.
look,
What's that?
they show there's those crazy black squares on the back of the bridge again. That the guy.
Oh yeah,
put
it's so
on
weird.
the-
But yeah, or they could have made it like one of those like handheld video games that they used like calculator technology for, and then
like
and
the
done,
tiger.
the tiger games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they could have made it a power glove. They could have used
Yeah,
like
power
broken
glove.
power glove technology that like hardly ever worked, and then just make it Stratagema, so you could
Or
get
they could have done
Stratagema to play
Virtual
in
Boy if
Nintendo
they had
games.
waited a couple of years.
Say that again.
Virtual Boy, if they had waited a couple of years.
Virtual Boy doesn't come out until TNG is done.
I know. It would have been really dated.
That's hilarious. Oh my god, could you imagine that if you had Stratagema? Like that was the Star Trek game on Virtual Boy.
That was
Is
that was the big draw.
It
for
comes with
Virtual
a
Boy. That was the
peripheral that
killer
you have to
app
use.
for that system. But it was all red, unfortunately. So
I forgot that she like lip syncs something to Data, like pleading with
She
him.
says,
That's fantastic. She's like,
"Please."
please. That's great.
And he looks at her just like, what?
But yeah, she's starting to lighten up a lot. Like she would have been so much
Yeah.
fun if she had continued.
Absolutely.
It's one of my big disappointments with the show is that we don't keep her and we bring Crusher back.
And you know, she has that other idiosyncrasy of never wanting to use the transporters.
I don't have anything against Gates McFadden. I think she's an okay actress, and I think they could have done cooler things with her later. What is this chick doing in the background?
Just standing
she's
there
just
looking
standing.
around.
She's
waiting
working.
for her
Get to
line.
work. Oh, she's waiting to She's waiting to deliver her line, Jay.
Yeah, that's what she's doing. And she's wanting everybody to like pay attention to her. Don't put her. See, look at that. She's like, I get to be on television.
So apparently,
she's
the
awful.
cabling in the starship is like one of the. You remember those fiber optic lamps?
This is a
from,
TOS shot is what
like
this is.
Mr. Skiff? That's what this.
We're basically inside the warp
cabling
core
is,
here.
apparently.
Is anybody else reminded of the Jeffries tube shots from TNG right or from TOS right now?
Yeah.
I know it's
Yeah,
not
it kinda looks
overhead,
like-
but it looks like one of those shots.
Except it looks like a beehive. Look at all that, huh?
Mr. Roboto, would Pulaski have worked in a Voyager or DS9 type show? I think she would have been a great character to bring back as a regular in another show, and either of those would have been a good place for her. It would be weird to put her in DS9 because she would have to fight with Bashir, but if you had her instead of Bashir, yeah, I could see that. That wouldn't have been bad. I love Bashir later, of course, but just looking at the looking at the beginning of DS9, do you agree with that? Adam, that Pulaski as the doctor on that station? That's not a terrible idea at
It would
all.
have been interesting to see a conflict between her and Bashir because Bashir was such a, wet behind the ears guy when he first started out, and she.
But also, if they had made her, and again, I wouldn't have wanted to lose O'Brien, but if they had made her the holdover from TNG instead of O'Brien, that makes sense to me. I could have seen it.
Yeah.
It's just a shame she never came back in any way. Like, how did she not get at least a one-off guest episode in something?
I don't know.
So weird.
And I don't really know. Have you read anything about the circumstances of her leaving?
I haven't, but she
this
has been
show?
interviewed about Star Trek lots of times after that, and she's always really gracious about it, and doesn't seem to have any hard feelings about it. And maybe she's just being nice and diplomatic, but usually if there was a really bad situation, they don't tend to, actors like that don't tend to like to come back for documentaries and things, and she has.
She has, right. She was at the they showed her when they did the season 2 movie thing at the AMC theaters. She was in the interviews for that they showed before they showed the episodes, I remember.
Ed, Edward, since you're leaving Super Chats, man, feel free to ask for an episode to put on the wheel. Another $5 Super Chat. I would have preferred Pulaski on Voyager. I would have loved to see a dynamic between her and the EMH doctor program. Yeah, but again, why would you do the EMH if you had a doctor that you were going to keep on the show?
There would be no reason to turn it on.
That's why I keep saying from the start of the show, you'd have her or some other doctor. So you have to wipe out the other doctor probably, or you could kill her off in the show and then bring in something like the doctor. I guess that would have been a thing to do. But it's hard in something like Voyager. It's hard in Voyager to bring in a character later in the show and keep them there,
right?
For obvious reasons. Or you could have had this would have been crazy. You could have a hologram of a character that already that then becomes a different character in your show. So Pulaski could have been. I'm gonna break everybody's brains with this.
She could have been the EMH.
The EMH, yeah.
They could have based it on her. That would be crazy. Diana Muldaur, right after this, I guess she went to be on the show L.A. Law, and she was like the big villain on that show, I guess, in the 80s.
Interesting.
And she infamously died on that show because she walked into an open elevator shaft.
I love Doggett. This actor is really committed, and he's another guy that it's not fair he never came back.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll go this far. He is so much fun in this episode, you expect him to, for some reason, get killed off.
Yeah.
That happens a lot with characters that, you're really kind of digging that are like one-off characters. So we got to get rid of them so we can't bring them back. That shot looks nice.
It does look nice. I really dig the 4 nacelles on that ship.
I know. It's cool.
I always like that ship.
What's weird? We have that's a good point. The Stargazer type ship. I guess it's not a Stargazer class, but that ship has 4 nacelles. We put a 3rd nacelle on the Enterprise D in All Good Things, which does what? So are we suggesting that the Stargazer and this ship can go, what'd you say, the Hathaway can go faster because it's got 4 nacelles?
I don't think that it can go faster.
I don't know if it can really go faster, or if it's just like these.
Why did they feel the need then to add an extra one onto the D?
Well, that might be better, but those nacelles were crappy compared to the Enterprise's model. Right.
So I think the idea is.
So you're saying with D maybe it would go faster.
They had 4 nacelles because at the time you could only force so much energy through nacelles at the time. So
look, he has that same model in the background because it's his ship. Yeah. So, in fact, we might be looking at the model that they. No, we're probably not. I'm just kidding.
Because in Relics, Picard talks about the Stargazer being underpowered, and I'm like, it's got 4 engines on it. It's underpowered.
Yes, but those engines probably were funneling less energy overall than
they're the same engines that were on the Constitution class refit Enterprise from the movies. They just reused, kit bashed it or whatever.
It probably was forcing out less energy per nacelle than the more modern ship. And so when the Enterprise gets a 3rd nacelle, it's probably from an efficiency standpoint they can put slightly less energy through each one of the nacelles.
Don't confuse style with intent. That is a great line.
Brandon,
we have not talked at all about.
I think they just wanted it to look different.
We have not talked at all about Riker this episode, but this is one of the kind of pioneering foundational episodes for building Riker's ambitions about how he's always wanted to be a captain and how he is right for command, and that he and Picard have different strategies and ways at handling command, but they're both on par as far as how good they are at being commanders.
Right, they're both they're just different.
Their styles are different, but like I said, I love that. That's probably Picard's best line of this episode. Don't confuse style with intent. I don't know who wrote this. I didn't look at the writing credit, so I might look it up. Again, Snodgrass's fingerprints are on this a little bit, but I don't think she wrote this episode.
Deanna Troi is really confounded at this point.
This is one of those episodes structurally that's really nice because it's got a couple of different character subplots going on, but it's all part of one overall story. So I mean, there's clearly you're not an A story, B story kind of thing going on, but you do have a couple of kind of parallel character pieces that are all about the same ideas.
All related.
Yeah.
Right. All people dealing with their own, own personal,
Limitations.
limitations, exactly. And whether or not they, and then they both wind up, rising to the occasion, I guess, so to speak.
And you've got a classic science fiction notion here, but also a classic Star Trek notion where we're constantly comparing ourselves to the machines that we're using and questioning whether they can do our jobs better than we can.
Right. It
And
goes
so
back to,
there's
the ultimate computer.
some shades of
and
ultimate
everything.
computer is exactly what I was about to say.
Exactly.
That's right.
What do you think of that weird ball?
So it makes no
With the
sense that they should be
pet
sitting
rock
this
inside it.
directly
It's odd.
into the ship systems like this, and it should be able to give them the warp power. Because if they were putting the
David
They let
Kemper
Leslie play
wrote
with
this episode,
antimatter.
and I don't know what his other credits are.
I don't understand that. That seems.
Yeah, it looks like Cerebro. I don't know. Oh, Stephen Murphy also just said it looks like Cerebro. Got another super chat here from Edward Bador. You could easily have Pulaski be the only surviving doctor on Voyager to justify Picardo as the MH doctor still being around. Well,
But it was a small ship. They only had like a few hundred people. I don't know if
yeah,
they
you wouldn't need only a couple hundred. You wouldn't need.
But then they
two
only have one doctor to begin
doctors.
with, and he was that jerk and caretaker that died.
Yeah, you only had one doctor on that ship in the first place. Like,
Remember that guy?
What I'm saying is, they wouldn't have thought. Yeah, they wouldn't have thought to do an EMH and a regular doctor if you weren't gonna kill off a doctor. Like the whole reason they invented the EMH was to make him the doctor on that show. So they always would have killed off whoever else was there. I mean, you're right. That is a thing that I guess you could do, where you have an EMH that you use occasionally. But I'm just saying that at the inception of Voyager, that's not what those writers would have done. So there's no way you ever would have had Pulaski and him. Is all.
Speaking of people who die in caretaker.
But yes, you could do that if they had thought to do that, but they wouldn't have. What's up?
In Voyager, speaking of people who die in caretaker, and that was the episode where I can never remember the name of it. The Chakotay episode where he's running through the different
Shattered?
histories of Voyager
Shattered.
and stuff. Shattered.
I love
Do you
Shattered.
remember-
That's on my
That's a great
runner-up list,
episode.
by the way.
And do you remember the guy that was the jerk first officer that dies in like the first 20 minutes of Caretaker?
Uh-huh.
Does he appear in Shattered?
I don't think he's there. Maybe he does. I don't remember.
They should have brought him back.
You remember how he and the Doctor looked almost identical, and they were characterized exactly
They
the
did.
same way?
I know.
And you're just like, that's stupid. Like, we should have known one or both of them would die. They were the same character.
I know. And then then that girl that Paris was hitting on. She died too.
This is a wonderfully talky episode.
Yes.
And I'm sure part of that is because you'd think like a War Games episode you do, more of kind of a big action thing with, and of course at the end of this we're gonna have the space war game thing, but it's not gonna be of course a big action piece.
It's not a huge piece, yeah.
I'm sure part of that is because we're out of money by the end of the season.
Yeah,
That's
we're
why
out of
Shades
money.
of Grey got made. But I do really appreciate how understated it is, and it is very exciting in its way, just in the character stuff.
Yes.
Here's Picard not wanting to go and talk to one of his crew members about their feelings of insecurity.
Yeah. Also, I have to handhold an android is a great line.
Yeah.
Person of command. See, we're getting a lot of great comedy mileage out of Pulaski, and not in a she's now the silly comic relief character, but just in this show has finally figured her out, and as soon as it figures her out, we have to write her off. It really sucks.
Yes. Cabot. That was the name of the guy that was the Chakotay before Chakotay on Voyager.
Even that guy's name should have told you he was gonna die.
Cabot.
We're not gonna have a character for seven
That's so
for 7
generic.
years named Commander Cavett.
and he does not appear.
I didn't think he did.
Shattered.
I didn't think he did. He should have.
This has
You
one of my
should've.
favorite Picard lines.
And you could have recast him if you needed to, and nobody would have ever noticed. So what?
This line, "It is possible to commit no mistakes," is one of my favorite Picard lines.
Yeah, I remember watching Voyager.
No,
as
that's
a
great,
kid
and that's
not-
just like human responsibility and stuff too. Like anything you do could have like negative or positive consequences, and it's not always an ethical issue.
Yeah,
It doesn't always mean you made the wrong choice, or even the strategically wrong choice. There's also luck involved in life, and I like the idea that an android, having not lived enough life yet, would not understand the human variables in that way.
It's kind of the moment that the AI picks up on that and learns that as part of the AI's lesson in how to interact with the real world.
I meant to mention this earlier when we were actually on the bridge of that ship, but TNG always does a really good job of the continuity of what older, 80 to 100-year-old technology looked like, and making it look like movie era, and just
Right. That's because they had Okuda on there to make
Yes.
sure everything matched.
And he's brilliant.
they bridge the gap constantly.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that he cared about
even the
that
little,
stuff.
little things you wouldn't even think about in Caretaker. I don't know why I'm talking about Caretaker.
I don't
so much.
either, but it's fine.
But in Caretaker, in Chakotay's Maquis ship, all the Okudagrams are the movie era blue style stuff to show how old the ship was, kind of, as a little,
David, I did get your episode. I just didn't mention it because we were talking about this episode. But yeah, thanks a lot for that, man. He asked for Conspiracy, so we'll put that on the wheel.
Ooh,
Conspiracy is
yeah.
my favorite season 1 episode. We're gonna
Has
get to
Jason
watch a
seen
guy's head
Conspiracy?
explode. I'm sorry, what?
That's Jason seen Conspiracy.
Yes, I think. Edward Bedore, $5 super chat. My all-time favorite Star Trek episode is DS9 season 4. Army and Bashir. As a fan of the spy genre, that episode is so much fun for me. That was one of the last episodes of DS9 I ever saw. For whatever reason, I never got around to seeing that one and didn't even know it existed for the longest time.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Oh my god, look how bad that looks right there. Did you see those black things?
No, I was looking at
I'm
the...
looking at the
Oh,
bridge
yeah.
lighting is weird in this episode.
It was so bad.
That looks really weird, the view screen view on the side there.
What about it?
It just, you see this grainy kind of archway that you don't really see that.
It's
lit
an
that
odd
way.
angle where it's sort of like the camera, to put it on the view screen, knows that we at home are going to want to see all of those characters together. Like, why is it
Right,
showing
they're all
everyone?
framed
Why
or
wouldn't it just be a
whatever.
headshot on Riker?
Are those chairs? What are those?
Actually,
things?
that's not fair.
Back
They
there,
look like
those
they're
metal
Klingon.
things. They look like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, they look like they should be on a Klingon bridge.
They're not as bad as the bicycle seats, though.
But no, what I just said is
Who-
maybe not fair, because we do a lot of shots like straight on the bridge where you can see everybody, so that's not fair. But it was at an
Like,
angle.
this
and
is
that
why those
made it
things,
kinda odd.
the lights reflect. Did you see the shadows behind Picard? They had like freaking floodlights on these guys. Look at that.
Man, that guy from 24 has got red hair.
Yeah, it's really red. Pew, pew.
Good move by Riker.
Okay, there's more going on here than I remembered with the action. I had forgotten that a Daenerys just flies right across the screen.
Yeah,
That's
they do
cool.
that. Yeah. And that
That looked great.
Yeah, it looked really good. Had they shown that ship in this season at all besides this?
Yes,
I'm trying.
I think.
I guess they do show it in the episode with the Iconian Gateway.
Yes, that's weird. I was going to say, I thought for sure we
Yes.
got it. Have you noticed that everybody that's not used to working with Riker, and especially if they've got any authority from Starfleet, everyone always roots against Riker. Nobody ever believes in
Yeah.
Riker. Nobody ever thinks he's a good commander. Except
Yeah.
for Picard. Picard's the only person that ever believes in Riker.
Yeah.
this is also a classic ploy that Riker does. One of the things that's great about this episode is that we're ramping up the whole time. We're kind of wondering what the war games are actually going to feel like, and I think we kind of expect it to start earlier. I think like with the this all looks awesome
That's great.
with the captain's log.
She gets another line.
Yeah, she's obnoxious. With the captain's log at the beginning,
like, I'll hang it on them like that.
where he's talking about the war games, you kind of expect it to happen throughout the episode, and we end up ramping up, kind of waiting for it to finally happen until we get to the very end. And the reason it ends up being so satisfying is because it feels like real strategy is being banded back and forth. And isn't it fun to see Riker versus Picard in this kind of friendly game without some kind of weird alien interference, like forces them to fight to the death or something.
Right.
I mean, that could be fun too, but I don't know. This is just like really believable and one of those like routine things that's actually fun to see.
Yeah, it's like a low stakes thing, but it's fun to see them go at each other. Oh, there's Armin Shimmerman.
I forgot that Shimmerman played yet another Ferengi after Last Outpost. Because remember, Shimmerman I don't remember if you know this, Brandon. Shimmerman is the first Ferengi.
Yes,
Yes.
That's great, isn't it?
And I don't know who the other one is.
I don't know who the other guy is either.
Why does their console look like the top of an R2 unit?
It always looks like that.
Yeah, I never understood
That's like the Ferengi
that.
design.
Adam, I have been trying to remember that Damon's name this whole time. That's like the arch nemesis of Picard from
Damon
the battle.
Bach.
Is it Bach?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's.
Oh, I wish I just said it. That's what was in my head, but I thought I was wrong about it. Is that his name?
But not Damon Togg. Damon Togg is the one that was infatuated with Lwaxana.
Yes,
Troy.
that's a different
Yes,
guy.
and I thought of him too.
Demon Togg, as she called him.
Yes, remember that? I was wondering if that was scripted or not. That I could totally see her doing that.
Yeah.
He'd actually just wrote Bach, Bach, Bach. It's the name of. It's the sound a chicken makes. Yeah.
Bach, Bach.
You have 10 of your minutes. The Ferengi Marauder.
I have not
is a
seen
cool
either of
ship.
those in so long. I was second guessing that.
The battle. And then when
Reminds
he
me of
appears
Cry.
in...
I was like, that's
what
not
episode does he appear in season 7? Is that when he shows up
it.
again?
I think it's 7. Yeah. Well, yes, because that's what you do when you're out of ideas.
They brought him back. Or die.
He's so smug about anything he says. He's just. Oh, that's a cool shot of the edge of the ship there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really
awesome.
good.
And I wonder if the Ferengi
really
symbol
good.
was on the side of that first time around
I
before
don't
this was
know
remastered.
either because I'm
I think
noticing
it
for the
was.
first
Was it?
time, but that looked
Because
really
the
good.
Micro Machine had it on there,
Yeah,
so I'm pretty
okay.
sure it probably was.
I've got the Micro
yeah.
Machine. Of
No,
that.
maybe it's there now because it was on a Micro Machine.
Because of Micro Machine. Oh, we've got to have continuity with the Micro Machine line from 1993.
I love that not only does he... I forgot about this whole Ferengi plot, by the way. I love that this Zactorn guy is... like, believes in Riker so little, he's even kind of fine with him just dying. He's like, the Hathaway's expendable!
Acceptable losses.
It's fine.
Let them die. Let them die.
Oh, and then also, I think it's important to note that they kind of make him weirdly almost less human than Data, in a way, where it's like he's so cold and emotionless, and, I mean, he's got emotion, he's, kind of, freaking out about stuff, but I just mean, like, he seems to forget the human side of stuff when we're doing this, robot versus, or machines versus our human capabilities episode. Please get rid of that extra chick who keeps getting lines for no reason. She's terrible.
This table is made of glass, wood, and granite. How 80s opulent is that?
Yeah,
I like
I'm
it better than
pretty
the
sure there's an
Voyager table,
Atari
Brandon.
2600 underneath it somewhere.
Arguably a better conference table.
Than
But
the
Sim
Voyager
says-
The
table.
Voyager one, yeah.
But
Your
Sim
assessment.
claims, and I have never read this, but it's probably true. I just don't remember this, that they brought... Are you talking about Bach? That they brought him back because Patrick Stewart asked them to? And then he says, which I think Patrick Stewart isn't great at making creative decisions in Star Trek. Yeah, truer words were never spoken. And I love Stewart, but yeah, keep him out of writers' rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Keep him out. He's an actor. That's what he does. That's what he's good at. You ever seen anybody cosplay as Zach Dorn?
No. There's that lady. She's thinking. She's pondering. God, she's like really hamming it up, and I never noticed her before this episode.
She seems to think that Star Trek is a complete melodrama. She just always has a look on her face.
She's like got to butt herself into the action.
That's what I was gonna say. Is she's got this look on her face, like, please pay attention to me. This is my chance.
In the background here.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful. She might as well be looking directly into the camera. It would be like if I did this entire show like this. And she doesn't even have to look at the camera like that, but I feel like she is.
You're not your prize. Uh-oh.
David says it's on the director then, not the actress. I don't agree with that. I mean, yeah, he shouldn't have kept letting her be right in the center of frame, but even when she's in the side of frame, she's still, I can't help but only look at her. Did you see Shimmerman? He just goes for like 5 seconds.
When they're doing like the thing in Last Outpost.
Yes. What's hilarious is that the Ferengi were supposed to somehow be scary the way that they were introduced in Last Outpost. Immediately, fans complained and thought it was silly, and the show kind of changed things accordingly. But what's funny is the show starts playing them as more of a comedic villain by simply playing them about exactly the way they were before. Like, they don't actually do anything different. They just
they were always ridiculous.
They just don't have foreboding music behind them anymore, and they don't shoot their heads really close to try to make them seem scary. That's it. But they act exactly the same.
Yes.
He just patted that guy on the back.
At least they don't show up on the view screen like this.
That's what I'm saying. That was supposed to make them kind of scary.
Who are these?
Guys?
Oh my goodness! They just show up in frame.
The only they came right out of a Twilight Zone episode. Like, they just walked right. Like,
your disgusting human face deserves.
They look like actors from the 40s that never got out of the 40s or 50s
with green doors.
Busta Sim says the Ferengi just paid the Latinum for really good PR. Yeah, and this is before they're talking about Latinum. It's gold at this point.
Yeah, which is funny because later on,
Edward Bador
and Who Mourns for More and Quark's like, it's worthless gold at the end.
Yes. We retconned that hard. Edward Bador puts in another super chat. Thanks a lot, man, and says the Ferengi left a message. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Yes, indeed.
I don't understand why, or how much. So Latinum's got like this liquid stuff inside it, supposedly.
Yes, that's what makes it valuable. Mm-hmm.
But Morn gives Quark a vial this big or whatever at the end of that episode, and Quark's like, there must be 50 bars here. So it's like one drop, and the rest is a gold brick inside. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how valuable it is. Which makes you wonder how much is in slips and strips, right?
Yeah.
So the redheaded guy is actually in the scene, which is kind of interesting. Because he's just some random guy on the bridge, and it makes you think that he'd be like a recurring extra, and I don't think he shows up again. Pardon me, but I may be wrong.
Shirt? Look at that. That looks nothing like Star Trek. It looks like somebody's regular clothes.
Yeah.
What, that guy?
That guy.
Yeah, look at that shirt. It's like
We
a
do-
nautical theme
We,
on it.
no,
or
we do that a
something.
lot in TNG, in early TNG,
They
that
also
kind
tried
of
to,
thing.
They tried to make 10 Forward look kind of packed there with the people surrounding the
Yes.
table, but it clearly was empty, devoid, except for the
Otherwise,
people there.
yeah, that's great.
Couldn't afford any more extras.
They were on the bridge
So-
of
Out
the
of
other
money.
ship.
It's actually a really good point you're making, Brandon.
Yeah. They like to do that. They'll do a tight close-up shot, but
Oh,
the minute they
Shades of
start to
Grey
get wider,
started.
you can tell nobody else
go.
is there.
Oh no, let me out of Shades of Grey. Well, guys, Solar Dragon just asked what episode we're watching. We actually just finished Peak Performance, and we had to start so late today, we decided just to do one episode. These have sometimes been going 3 hours, and we're 10 after 9, but we weren't able to start until like 20 after, so I don't want to be going past 10 tonight. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night, I think. I mean, we'll obviously rate, and we can talk about some stuff, but we don't have to rush out. Well, we're not going to do another episode right now. If you guys have anything cool Star Trek wise, I didn't bring a specific topic for discussion tonight that you want to make sure we talk about, feel free to leave something cool in the comments, and we can do a little discussion topic as well on top of the rating. But we'll go ahead and rate. We're just going to talk about Peak Performance. And as always, the rating is on a scale of 0 to 4 with 0.5s in between if you so desire. And we will start with Adam. Adam, how do you want, and you guys feel free to rate in the comments as well. How
I think I'd
would you
give
like to
Peak
rate
Performance a I'll give it a 3.25.
Is it one
I
of
do
the
enjoy
best
it a lot.
episodes of season 2, or what do you think?
It's up there. It's pretty good. It's up there. I'm trying to think of. I mean, I like.
It's not
Measure of a Man
it's not quite as good as
better.
Samaritan Snare. Obviously, Measure of a Man is great.
Yeah.
Is it on par with something like the Sherlock Holmes episode?
Yeah, it's probably in there.
I think it's in the ballpark of that.
Yeah. Which Brandon had on his
Elementary
top
Dear
10
Data.
list.
Yeah.
Brandon, you had that on your top 10 list, but not this one.
Yeah, probably
Oh,
just
no,
forgot
that's-
about this one
No, that's fair though.
for the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I could see a person being more of a fan of that than this.
He's more of a fan of Sherlock
That's
Holmes.
fair. Sure.
I'm still gonna rate this one 3.5. Honestly,
Oh yeah.
I do enjoy this one. I like
This strikes me as a you kind of episode.
to
me. I don't know why.
Very you.
It's very you. I'll
it's
do
very
a
technically
Batman
driven.
Forever reference, and it's very you, and that's very you.
It's very technically driven and has a particular aesthetic that it's going for with the old ship, and I definitely do dig that. It feels very movie ships in an episode, like in a series episode.
Well, yeah.
Which is really nice for me. And I also like though how Data opens his mind to being able to take on different premises for it's not just the first solution that he comes up with that might necessarily be the one he should be looking at. He should be looking at other and he does a pretty good job, but he kind of learns how to look at other alternatives that he maybe wasn't looking at before.
Yeah,
So he
exactly.
grows as well.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great Data episode. It's a great Riker episode. It feels like an ensemble cast episode, right?
Yeah.
Like Pulaski's got some nice things to do. Wesley's around, Geordi's around.
around.
Like, yeah. And not to say that everybody gets character arcs, that everybody gets like a big moment, but it feels like a good ensemble
No,
cast
but
episode.
even with
They give
Geordi and,
Deanna stuff to do.
Yeah.
even with Geordi and Wesley, like they may not have had a lot, but what they did have was integral to the episode. Without that, they couldn't have done what they needed to do.
Indiana Trekker says this episode would have made a better season finale than Shades for sure. Yes, of course, and it feels like a season finale.
Yeah.
And it's too bad that they had to, throw one more episode in for their 26 episode
Contractually
order.
obliged or
Yeah, because they have
whatever,
an
yeah.
order, but then you're in the middle of a writer's strike, so
Yeah.
you're staying. You got no money, so you're stuck with having to do a crappy clip show. You could have written a better crappy clip show. I mean, you really could have. Like,
Yeah.
I sympathize, but come on. But then Busted Sim hilariously says that it is the Terra Prime of TNG Season 2, which is fair. He's saying that you have a good, series finale with the Enterprise, and then you get stuck with these of the Voyagers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty funny.
Remember what Terra Prime was?
Yeah, that's what he's talking
that was
about.
the name of the last episode.
Yes, that's what it was. The two-parter with RoboCop, yeah.
And
Who then comes back and plays the
flying
exact same
into
character in
space.
Darkness. Yeah. Adam, how do you? Did you just rate or did Brandon just rate?
I rated
You
it.
just rate, and you rated.
You're the only one left.
Is peak performance a? I don't know if I can go to quite a 3.5 just because it's TNG. So I mean, like, there's a lot of competition. But I only do 3s and 3.5s. I never do the in between 3.2 whatever thing. I've rated the same way for 15, 16, 17 years. So I guess it's a 3, but I want to say 3.5, but I can't quite go there. So
Sure.
I guess I have
I
to
only
say
do
3.
them
I
in
always enjoy
increment, quarters. That's what I'll do, but I won't do anything weird like a 3.3333.
Edward Bador, another $5 super chat. Thanks so much for all the super chats tonight, buddy. Data played the game so well that Riker started hitting on him and make very suggestive statements when talking to Data. That's hilarious. That's an angle I had never considered. Okay, so Tom gives it a 3. Jason gives this a 3.5, so Jason liked this a lot.
Nice.
Jason liked it.
Indiana Trekker, a 3. Busted Sim, 2.6547. The impossible has happened. There I made the dumb rating joke. HB Haga, 3.5. Not one of the best of the season, but one of the more entertaining. Pretty high rating for saying it's not one of the best of the season. David says 3.5. One of the better season 2 episodes. Solar Dragon says I like Matter of Honor better, and I want to think he's trolling us, but you're entitled to your opinion. Edward says 3 out of 4. Very good episode, and I saw this one for the very first time today. Oh, cool.
Nice.
Busted Sim says, actually, I guess a 3.3. A lot of folks rating tonight. Thanks a bunch, everybody. And then let me run back and see if anybody's got any good questions for us real quick before we finish up tonight. Jason, my favorite season finale is Enterprise Season 3. Archer is hilarious when he runs. Yes, he is. Do you remember that, Adam? When he's on the weapon? And he's running on that bridge, and we're supposed to think that he dies, and then he shows up in World War II. But like he's running on that bridge, and it's like when I say a bridge, I mean like an actual bridge. And there's
a bridge inside that ball.
It's like a Star Wars set, where like there should be a railing, but there isn't. So like maybe there was a railing, but I don't remember. But he's running on this bridge, right? And there's all this explosion behind him, and it is such 80s action schlock. Like
that whole thing felt so interminable, like that whole bridge thing.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and the whole thing is in slow motion. It's so silly, and I even braced Jason for it because when my wife and you got to remember, Sarah and I really liked a lot of season 3. We were very invested, and we still were cracking up like crazy on the couch watching that episode when it aired. Like, I braced Jason when he and I watched it. I was like, okay, you're about to see one of the funniest things you've ever seen. And he was like, but this is all like really dramatic and stuff, Dad. Like, no, just wait. And he just loses it when Archer starts running. It's the best. David, were you able to recall all the episodes that should be on the wheel? I'll go back and see what everybody said, see what I missed, and then I will put everything together and make a list, and then I'll maybe post the list somewhere, and if anybody doesn't see their episode on the list, let me know, and I'll make sure and put it there. I'm sorry that happened.
Did Jason like this better than Take Me Out to the Holosuite? Which he said, what was the point of that episode?
Yes,
he
did not understand why. But you know what's great? So Freddie today, Freddie loves the Wii, and Freddie wanted to play Wii Sports today. So we played Wii Sports. So we're playing tennis and we're playing bowling, and then he wants to play baseball, which I had not really played, I don't think, on Wii Sports. So we played baseball, and all you do in baseball is you pitch and you bat. That's all you do, and all the me's really run around and do everything for you. But besides that, right? And Jason, this is the best. Jason walks in and he goes, "Oh, I understand how baseball works. We watched that DS9 episode."
Baseball from Star Trek.
I thought that was really funny. Tom wants to know which bridge we think is the biggest.
The biggest?
Yes.
Like,
Let's
just
get into some
size-wise?
really heady philosophical territory here and talk about which bridge is the biggest
Just in Star Trek.
in Star Trek.
general?
I think it's that one that Archer is running on when the fire is chasing him. No, what is the biggest Star Trek bridge? It's funny.
The Golden Gate Bridge is Starfleet headquarters.
It's funny, as small as the ship is supposed to be comparatively, Voyager has a big bridge.
Yeah. If you want
It's
percentage
bigger than
wise,
Enterprise E's bridge, I'm pretty
Enterprise
sure.
E has a massive bridge.
that
Of course,
was the one
that
I
is
was gonna mention.
I think Voyager's is bigger, though.
which is crazy because the Enterprise E bridge was the first time in 24th century they were able to build a bridge specifically for a movie set. So of course they made it
Right.
really big to look good on a big screen and do a cinematic bridge. The Excelsior I think has a decent sized bridge.
It's pretty big, too. Okay, the big bridge, but we don't really see it all. The Excelsior's bridge in Star Trek 3 that looks
It's
ridiculous.
huge.
Yes, uh-huh.
That's huge.
That may be the biggest one. Yeah.
That might be the biggest. That or this. Well, I don't know if we can count it, but the dumb ship that Riker's on in Star Trek Picard, where they
that's
just had him
ridiculous
Skype
size
in or
ship,
whatever.
or a
That looks like a
bridge.
huge.
That's true. But but all the Discovery bridges are big like that.
The Abrams Bridge.
And the
is
Abrams
big.
bridge is also pretty big. So once you get an Abrams track, they're clearly like clearing out a whole warehouse to build a
And
bridge.
it's ridiculous. Why do you make something that big? Do you have to like run across it during like a battle or whatever? Like, oh my god, I gotta go to the other console.
Yeah, it's like they built an office building for 19 people to work in to run the bridge.
a freaking elevator lobby, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
But it seems there are a few TOS episodes on the wheel, but not a lot. I know Arena is there. There's a couple others, I think, still, but we've done most of what was there already.
No, the Excelsior definitely has a big bridge. And were you referring to, Adam, like when they're coming in and doing the interview on that bridge, and that they've all got their cameras and their microphones up in Kirk's face?
Yes.
No. That's a big bridge. I'm talking about.
But that's
Star Trek
also
3, when they
is
have...
that the same? But is that the same set as the Excelsior from 3?
think
Do they
that
just
it is.
re-put it back together, or do they
tore
not?
that
Did
thing
they?
down, and
Oh,
they
did
just
they? Okay.
used the set. It's basically a redress of the Enterprise bridge that they built for Star Trek V.
Oh.
You know what? Now that you
They
say
used the
that,
same
of
two
course it
sets,
is.
kind
That
of.
is, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
But yeah, the one with Miguel Ferrer, and they do the let's get ready for transwarp. That was the huge one.
So-
It's not even a full set.
So let's do another related superficial question, shall we, to round out the evening. Jason also wants to know what our favorite room is on Voyager.
My favorite room on Voyager.
Yeah. And I'm going to go with, I think, the only good answer. I mean, the bridge is awesome in that show. I think it is my favorite bridge, maybe.
Voyager definitely has a great bridge.
I think it may be my favorite
good.
bridge, at least for main bridges. But it's got to be Astrometrics, right?
Absolutely,
It's an awesome-
Astrometrics.
Awesome set.
Absolutely, stellar cartography.
I like
was
I
cool,
like
but
that little room that
But
guy
impractical.
that Janeway
Stellar
has,
cartography, also cartography. Tarkography
Stellar
also
cartography.
looks like Cerebro, but like
Yes,
the
it
big
does.
round room
It
from
does.
X-Men.
Yes, uh-huh.
That's
But before
cooler than
X-Men,
the
and also
Voyager
with
one.
Patrick Stewart standing in the middle of it. Sorry, what?
Astrometrics is.
I said that's even cooler than the Voyager one. I think the one for Generations.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, just because it's big, it's even bigger.
You know what it looks like? It
Yeah.
looks like an early IMAX theater.
It does. Remember the dome? The
Yeah,
dome
it looks like one of those
Domes are
domes.
really cool. You can still find those domes at a couple of different places.
Oh, crazy!
So
That would be very nostalgic to
Cosmosphere,
go to
it's,
another one of
like,
those.
Really small.
It's what?
The one at the Cosmosphere is like really small. I thought it was big when I was a kid,
Yeah,
but like
uh-huh.
this is tiny.
Yeah, and there's one down at Science City at Union Station, or there used to
Oh,
be
that's
anyway.
the planetarium one, yeah. But they have like a regular IMAX theater there too.
No,
That's
they
just, like, a
do, but
screen.
but the dome ones are really really cool. I've visited several across the states over the years.
Okay, we'll do this one real quick too. This is always a fun exercise. I've done this several times in our old club and stuff. And Sarah and I may have even made a video doing this, but we can do this real fast. Don't feel the need to do an entire crew, but each of you guys maybe just throw out like 3 or 4 of like the big officers. Stephen Murphy, if a ship crew could have been formed out of side characters, who could have formed a crew, who would be captain, first officer, etc. So you got to pick, I guess, characters that were not like main cast named in intro of a thing, I guess, is how I would set up the rules for this. And then put them all there. So, sort of like what we did with O'Brien going into DS9. Take a character like that. You can't pick O'Brien now, but take a character like that and then put them together with some other characters like that have actually been in Star Trek shows.
My first officer is going to be Commander Shelby.
See, you took mine. I also I would have made Shelby a captain,
I almost was going to put her as captain because I'm like, who else can I put as captain? So
absolutely.
But I was like, she definitely would make a good first officer, but she'd definitely make a great captain.
Who else would you throw out that would be cool to? It's still weird that we never did anything else with Ro. So I would put Ro in there. So Ro was maybe somebody's first. Shelby and Ro would be interesting.
Okay,
so having Shelby as the captain, and Ro is the first officer.
Ooh, I like that.
That's a fun notion, isn't it?
I do like that.
Yeah.
Just crew building over here.
Nobody say Alexander Rishenko, okay? Just don't do it. Just don't put him on there. That's a terrible idea. Don't do it.
What could we have Naomi Wildman be? What was she really into? She seemed to take to a lot of things.
Well, they made her kind of good at everything.
She could be a counselor.
But I think she should be. No, she's like a scientist. She was like a little Janeway and Little 7 of 9 all at the same time. Like she should be she's your science officer. Absolutely,
so Naomi Wildman, science officer.
So are we making an all-lady crew? Is that what we're doing right now?
Just kind of happening.
Is it a Trek chick crew? That's cool. Let's do that. What else? Now they all have to be girls. No, they don't have to all be girls, but...
Let me think here. Who else could we get?
I'm trying to go to Starfleet crew. I keep thinking of characters that aren't in Starfleet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank of Starfleet.
Because I've said this before, we talked about this even last week, but like I hate that Shran didn't get to be main cast. So like I really wish that had happened. But right now we're in 24th century, so I guess we're stuck with that.
I would have liked to seen that lady that was Picard's kind of romance in Lessons. She could have been
sure, and she would be. Well, she would also be another good science officer. Yeah.
Do we have any good picks for, say, engineer?
Also, I'll throw in. Well, I know who your doctor would be.
Yeah.
You could bring in Ogawa as your doctor.
Ogawa, that would have been a great doctor.
Yeah.
Engineer, we could bring back Carey, just because I feel bad that he disappeared for the entire run of Voyager, only to be killed in
That's
third
fair.
to last episode and stuff.
And
I was impressed with us for managing to make the crew all female so far, but sure, bring him back.
Well, he gets.
Hey, we managed 5 though. Like that was really cool.
He gets picked over for chief engineer. Like I'm sure you understand.
And then he disappears for 6 seasons, only to come back at the very end of Voyager and get shot by some ugly guy.
Solar Dragon Eddington is security officer.
Eddington. No, but he betrayed his uniform.
We got the start of a good crew there, though. That's pretty good. Good job, you guys. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can come up with even more
another
stuff.
Security officer could be. Do you remember the guy that they brought in to keep tabs on Odo? He was in it for 2 episodes of season 2 of Deep Space
He was
Nine.
okay, actually, that actor.
Yeah, and he disappears. I don't know where he went.
Ooh, I got one too. Are you ready? Your crewman.
Brahms.
No, because she's not in the Starfleet
officer.
Oh,
you got to pick an officer.
That's true.
But you could bring in the
No, I thought of Brahms immediately. I was like, I can't pick her.
Played a commander in Deep Space Nine. You could bring her in if you wanted.
You could, and that's the same actress. Or you could give the Leia Brahms hologram a mobile emitter.
Yeah.
And then you do that. Oh, I know. Your helmsman is Nick Locarno.
Mr. Locarno.
And you make him also a helmsman. Because what he could do was fly a ship, and then that actor later became a character who flew a ship. Would you grab anybody off of the Red Squad?
Red Squad.
Did you bring anybody from Red Squad?
But don't they all die?
Do they all die? I don't remember. I haven't seen that in a while.
They all died.
In the Valiant episode,
did they all die in the
Red
Valiant?
Squad?
Oh.
Because I was gonna say you wouldn't want the captain guy because he was kind of on drugs and stuff, but wasn't he? Was
The
he on drugs and
woman
stuff?
he was just.
I haven't seen that in
he might have been
forever.
on
I don't
drugs.
remember now.
The woman that was like became Nog's friend. The only one that survived besides him and Jake.
Oh, and you could also have crewman Shell.
Crewman Chell.
Never did anything with Shell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chell.
Somebody said characters in lower decks, but like the main girl in that dies. So
Yes, she does.
and then I can't remember. One of those other characters I think is Starfleet, and then one of the other ones isn't. You've got that.
Well, there's two other ones. There's that guy that thinks that Riker's from Canada.
Well, yeah, I know, but I
And
thought that guy.
then-
But I thought that guy just worked in 10 Forward. He's not actually Starfleet,
No,
right?
no.
Or am I thinking of somebody else?
That guy does, but the black guy worked in Tim Ford. He was a waiter in Tim Ford.
See, that's who I thought you were
You-
talking about. You're not talking about that
There
the
was
black
a
guy.
Starfleet guy that was like a go-getter, and he was like trying to impress Riker and do small talk with
Oh,
them. and
right.
said
He
was a
didn't
kid-
look like he
yeah.
was ever gonna get anywhere, though. I didn't expect that guy to really succeed.
No. And Ogawa is the other woman in that episode.
Yeah.
What about the other people from the first duty? There's like another
Yes.
woman in there.
Yeah,
isn't
of course. Oh, and then the admiral that sends this ship on missions is Admiral Reginald Barclay.
there? Yes.
Because, of course. Oh my god. Okay, well, I thought we were just going to do a couple characters, but I just couldn't stop. Edward Bador, another super chat. Thanks, man. Shran from Enterprise's security officer to scare overly ambitious ensigns that need to be put in their place. Sure, but we have to bring him from the past somehow. Maybe we can bring him forward through the help of Berlinghoff Rasmussen from the 22nd century. Well, anyway.
It could be something.
Well, that was a really fun way to end off our show. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Hope you had a good time in Star Trek Club. We'll be back again next time as we count down our absolute top 5 Voyager episodes, and we'll hopefully have time to watch 2 different episodes from The Wheel. Once again, I'll post all the episodes that I have written down right now soon on Facebook and on YouTube, and take a look at it. And if you have asked for an episode you don't see it there, let me know, because I want to make sure that everybody gets their episodes on The Wheel. I was Captain Logan. That's Brandon Grimm and Adam Meredith. Later, folks. Thanks for watching. Bye. My mouse.